A blessed morning to all the administrators, faculty, and personnel of the CEAP member schools all over the Philippines. I am Christine Marie S. Lasaca Saludes, member of the CEAP Child Protection Ad Hoc Committee and Assistant Principal for Academic Affairs, OIC of Miriam College Lower School. I am so honored to be your moderator this morning. Welcome to the second day of our CEAP Child Protection Summit. Yesterday, we took a look at the state of the Filipino child and listened to Dr. Gina R. Lamzon's very informative talk about mental health in the Philippines. The child in perspective. Today, we will zoom in our focus on the home and school partnership in child protection in this morning's segment entitled, It Takes a Village to Raise a Child. Before we continue, let us begin our webinar with an opening prayer as we remember that we are in the holy presence of God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you for our children. We know that they are gifts from you. Daily, we need your strength and wisdom to guide them in the way they must go. Give us patience and a joyful heart. Let us be examples of your love and forgiveness. Help us to be the best parents and teachers that we can be. We pray that your Holy Spirit will teach us, that your wisdom will guide us, and that your love will move us in bringing our children, your children, closer to you. Heavenly Father, thank you for the honor of being a parent and being a teacher. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Amen. Good morning once again. For those who just tuned in with us, we welcome you to the second day of our CEAP Child Protection Summit. We are live both on the CEAP Facebook page and CEAP channel on YouTube. Before we begin, allow me to give you some reminders. First, as the talk is ongoing, we encourage you to post your questions or comments at the comments section on Facebook and YouTube, and we will ask these questions or read the comments during the Q&A portion. Second, certificates. We do get a lot of queries about certificates. Please be informed that you will receive the certificate of attendance only upon completion of the evaluation form. The link has already been posted as part of the caption of this video, both on YouTube and Facebook. But please note that the link will only go live from 11:30 a.m. until 5 o'clock p.m. today. Again, it will only go live at 11:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. today. So if you click it now, it's not going to open yet. We encourage you to answer the evaluation form, and you will receive your certificate of attendance within 3 to 5 days. Finally, please be reminded as well that this is a free webinar brought to you in partnership with the Private Education Assistance Committee, or PEAC, and Tech Factors. Again, we're giving this to you for free, but if you want to pay it forward, you may donate to our Kapatirang Kamagong Fund. It is our fund for helping the poor and struggling CEAP mission schools because we heal as one. Lastly, we encourage you to share this webinar to your networks using the hashtags #CEAP Cares, #I Love CEAP, and #I Love Catholic Ed. Let me now introduce our session for this morning entitled, It Takes a Village to Raise a Child, Partnership Between the Home and School. Our first session will be a sharing about the psychological component in school preparations, policies, guidelines, and activities that help the home life condition or situation of both students and parents. Our resource person for this session is Dr. Nelly Z. Limbadan. As a clinical psychologist and child advocate, Dr. Nelly's research interests are in the fields of anger, aggression, adolescent psychology, family systems studies, gerontology, psychology of retirement, and industrial organizational psychology. She is a resident consulting psychologist of the Archdiocese of Davao, heads the Clinical Psychology Division of the Psychological Association of the Philippines, is a United Board Fellow, and is Associate Professor and Assistant Dean. But even if she is based in Davao, her advocacy, trainings, growth sessions, and other services extend to the rest of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Nelly Z. Limbadan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our day two of this very important summit. Yesterday, we had our mental health, the child in perspective. Now, let's take a look at the other half of the village as we talk about how is it really to raise a child with the entire village. So, this is the role and place of schools in raising a child. This morning, let me just guide you through for these three aims. Number one, to get to know again the members and residents of the village who are the stakeholders. So when I talk about village, we will think about who are the people who should be responsible or who should be the carers of every learner. Second one, we will revisit the importance of partnership and collaboration within the village by highlighting its psychosocial impact. And lastly, we will re-anchor, we will recenter all of our activities, our priorities to the main resident of the village, and that is the learner. Now, allow me to introduce to you Albert, of course, not his real name. But thank you, Sister Mary Jane, for giving me a permission to use this case. The case of Albert, or it could be Alberta, Albertine, or Alberto, okay? So kahit sino yan. Now, Albert is an 11-year-old boy and the third child in a family of 4 siblings. He has shown extreme stubbornness and defiance since early childhood. He has shown this behavior primarily at home and does not involve significant mood instability or anger. However, he tends occasionally to be vindictive and spiteful. Such symptoms have affected his sibling relationships. Remember, apat sila. And in an extremely negative fashion. More recently, this behavior has been seen with peers and has begun to affect his friendships in school. On the other hand, his parents demonstrate a somewhat hostile parenting style. Okay? Remember, that's the background. That's the only background we have for Albert so far. Okay? Now, look at this, illustration. That's Albert in the middle. We're thinking of who are the members of the village, right? Parents, of course, the siblings, guidance counselor, other organizations because of the limitation of the licensure, di ba? Iba-ibang tawag natin, merong student development facilitators or ano pa sa ibang schools. Maybe the classmates are also part of that village. I'd like to go to the advisor muna. And then the principal, the headmaster, the head mistress, the director, and of course, they're the parents. I included the medical doctor, nurse, developmental pediatrician, because it could be, a medical condition that we just don't know about, and that's just the presenting problems or issues of Albert. Now, on that bubble thought there, or the thought bubble there, who else and what else? Okay, to think. For those of us listening all over the country, think This can be any of your Alberts in your school. Or for parents, this can be your son. Okay, now at the background of all this, let's revisit some of the developmental milestones of middle childhood. That's Albert, right? 11 years old. The child's growing independence from the family and interest in friends might be obvious by now. That's why importante. Nagkakaroon ng problema with siblings, with classmates. Healthy friendships are very important to your child's development, but peer pressure at this time can become strong. Children who feel good about themselves are more able to resist negative peer pressure and make better choices for themselves. That's the background, no? The milestone. Now, some more. For Albert, this is an important time for children to gain a sense of responsibility along with their growing independence. Also, and very importantly, mas ito kasi yung nakikita, physical changes of puberty might be showing by now, especially for girls. Another big change children need to prepare for during this time is starting middle or junior high school. They're already looking forward to that. They cannot just be in the basic education elementary forever. So I have more friends. What about emotional social changes? Children in this age group might, number one, start to form stronger, more complex friendships and peer relationships. It becomes more emotionally important to have friends, especially to the same sex. Experience more peer pressure. Thirdly, Albert and his kind, they become more aware of his body as puberty approaches. Body image and eating problems sometimes start around this age. That's why I wanted to include medical doctor and nurses earlier, because there might be that impact in the self-esteem. What about in terms of cognitive development of children at this age? They face more academic challenges at school. They become more independent from the family. They begin to see the point of view of others more clearly, and they have an increased attention span. It's already beginning to unfold those changes. Now, let's talk about Albert again. From my own analysis, this can be the actions that the village members can take, and in no particular order. We're not also here to diagnose Albert, we're just here to understand. Actions can be taken. Number one, advisor may talk to him, right? The advisor may schedule a parents' conference. May refer to counselor, may administer psychological tests, instruments, may seek for principal's counsel, will talk to the classmates, may ask for the opinion of the medical doctor, nurse, developmental pediatrician, psychologist for possible developmental issues. Because this is the time where we are reminded and we shouldn't say na ganyan lang yan pag mga bata sa ganyang age. Right? So anyone else or anything else na pwede nating puntahan or kausapin or whatever actions you may take. I'll leave that to you. Okay? So let's continue. What is clearer now is that it cannot just be Albert alone, right? Nor his family or just his school. It has to be Albert, home, school. School, Albert, home. It is a triad or quad or quartet or quintet or more villagers. The more, the better. This is the perfect time wherein we involve those significant people in the life of Albert, home, school, community. Does that involve the church? Certainly. Being in a Catholic educational system, it is very important that we anchor these actions to our faith. Now, sorry, I'm giving you this, my bias, because I'd like us to understand sometimes these words are taken for granted because they're just so simple. But take a look at these words. Partnership, collaboration, and engagement, they're essential. But tingnan natin saan nanggaling yung word na collaboration. Of course, we know that any word that starts with co means to do it with other people, together. So, labor, to labor. Latin, collabora, no? And let's go to partnership. We do things in partnership, partition. It cannot just be you. There has to be somebody else on the other extreme. And the other word there is engagement. Ang lalim pala ng pinanggagalingan ng word na engagement. To pledge. You just don't say it. You have to do something because it is your legal or moral obligation. That's in the background. And I hope it's making sense now that Albert deserves to be created with partnership, collaboration, and engagement. Okay? These words are not just synonyms. They are essential as we talk about homeschool collaboration. Now, what are family school partnerships? Those of you who are watching now, you may be telling yourself, ginagawa ko na yan. But let's just go back to the basics. These partnerships are collaborative relationships and activities involving school staff, parents, and other family members of students at school. They are effective because they are based on mutual trust, respect, and shared responsibility for the education of children and young people at school. An interesting thing. Now, this is something not really radical, but probably it's a game changer when we think about partnership and collaboration. While family engagement and involvement are key to developing strong homeschool partnerships, they're not actually equivalent to partnership. Let me focus on the second point in this slide. Family members may dedicate their time and effort towards their children's education by, for example, participating in activities within the school setting, such as conferences, parent-teacher conferences, volunteer work, or attending school functions or field trips, or by supporting their child's learning by practicing key concepts within everyday activities, such as laundry and shopping. But it is important to note that these activities are actually solely focused on family support for the school. Hindi siya partnership. Now, a homeschool partnership, by contrast, involves genuine collaboration and coordination between families and schools on key issues relevant to both the schools and families' goals for their children's education, and involves two-way systems of support that cross both home and school settings. Tanong siguro natin at this point, how genuine collaboration is made? What is that level of being genuine? That's something we can talk about later as we end this session. The value of collaboration. It's a simple concept, but sometimes we forget this because we'd like to do things on our own. Homeschool collaboration is an important step in supporting a child's positive engagement in the learning and social aspects of school life. Parents and schools have a common goal. What is their common goal? To see children develop the skills for life and learning, to see children succeed, and to see children happy. We don't say this to see children get that medal or award, to see my children go to that in the middle and be awarded. The children's happiness or well-being, that's very, very important. The goal of enhancing children's competence, participation, and positive learning and social behaviors cannot be achieved by teachers alone and requires active partnerships with families. Notice the active, because at some point, many of us at the start, it's not just Filipino value, but or maybe a character. Pero when some people start something, andun yung energy. Pero towards the middle of the SEM or the school year, nawawala. It's not being fueled. And why is that? See the active, the emphasis of the active partnerships with families. What does research say about this collaboration? Benefits for students. Take a look at this. More positive attitudes towards school, improved behavior, increased homework completion, greater participation in school activities, improved school attendance, higher academic achievement. Itong pandemic, you notice, parents who are listening and watching, after the first quarter or kung ano man yung system natin, awarding of honors, tinatawag na tayo, then never in your life that you remembered your child received an honor. Marami ngayon, if you notice, those of us who are watching, marami sa atin na parang on honor siya ngayon. What's the difference? Salamat sa pandemic na na-honor ka. really, it's because of that collaboration. It's not because you are helping in the module, but there is that motivation that I am learning in school at the same time with my parents. So that's what our research would say. What about for parents? Enhanced parental confidence. That's why we like to attend parenting seminar, webinar sessions, conferences, etc. Because some part we'd like to be taught, we'd like to learn from others. More positive experiences with teachers and school, improved communication with children, increased confidence in the role of supporting homework completion. You're the number one support system. Remember our research yesterday that garnered 44,000 responses? This is precisely supporting that. What about for teachers? When there is that active partnership and collaboration, it actually increases your job satisfaction. Ito yung, I love my job. Despite the offers in the other sectors, I am not paid that much, but I am satisfied and committed and I am happy here. That's because of the partnership. There's an improved communication and positive relationships with families, of course, and increased confidence in management of behavioral and learning challenges. You notice here the words very, very positive. While there are issues, conditions, disorders, but generally we can just call them challenge. Now, that's very inclusive. And it does not threaten the parents and the teachers out there na, oh my God, may disorder ang anak ko, nilabel siya ng school. No, there is a way of labeling things. Now, how do we develop that positive partnerships? It first require, more than anything, understanding and belief that parents and teachers are doing the best they can within the constraints of policy, time, life demands, knowledge, experiences, and personal or work-based resources. I'd like that again, no, the understanding and belief that we're doing the best that we can. For Albert, remember him. According to the National Association of School Psychologists, which by the way, in the Philippines, we don't have school psychologists yet as an item, right? We have issues still with guidance counselors, but in other countries where the system is more established, they have an item for school psychologists. But we can, of course, learn from them. Anong sabi nila in 2012? In developing positive partnerships, families and educators work together as active and equal partners who share responsibility for the learning and social successes of all students. It's very important. Basic lang siya, but at this time when our attention is focused with what really is partnership, it brings us back to, oo nga, pwede nating gawin to. Now, homeschool partnerships are focused on setting joint goals for a child and ensuring consistency and continuity in how these goals are achieved across home and school. I'm not going to talk about how you parent your children, how you do your discipline or what, because whatever it is, what does the literature say? Consistency. Hindi pwedeng the other one is ganito, pagdating dito, medyo lax. So there has to be that consistency. Effective partnerships will benefit from clear and open communication, and that's the first thing that will make that partnership effective and that will work. Clear and open communication with a focus on shared goals, shared language, and shared supports. By now, siguro naintindihan na natin yung theme ng aking talk. It's partnership, joint, shared, gawa tayo ng thematic analysis. Ito siya. It cannot be solo. It has to be double, trio, or kung ano pa. Positive partnerships are ongoing and responsive in recognition of the ever-changing learning and social demands on children as they move through their school careers. Parents and teachers respond to needs as they arise, share successes, and build on positive outcomes. Let me talk briefly about share the needs as they arise. Therefore, whatever program you created at the start of the school year with pandemic in the background, you can always change that. It's not written on stone. It's not final. You always can change that. You can always do needs assessment and share this one and learn from feedback, learn from lessons. The challenge, however, in reality, with this homeschool partnership, while it is ideal, the challenge that I have identified and I agree from the readings, number one, time. Even during this pandemic, that people assume that parents are just at home or more time, no? The time is really a challenging one because we have our other priorities. We have multiple roles. Anong nangyayari ngayon? Triple roles. You're working, you're teaching, you're parenting from home. All those rolled into one. So how do you do that? And the teachers are as well have those roles. The other challenge is trust. While we believe that teachers are there, the school is there to help the children, but some people have issues with that. You don't have any right. Things like that. Some parents and some teachers, they have that, especially with prior experience. And then the third challenge is we have different expectations and goals. Nanggaling yan sa different yung pag-deal natin ng time. Okay, so that's in our background. To complete the picture, I'll give you some of the top tips parents and teachers can do for this collaboration. Number one, create a collaborative environment. Anong nandito sa collaborative environment? Policies, structures, all the meetings, all the conferences that you have. By now, anong nangyayari? It has transformed into virtual collaboration. Okay. Ito lang naman, no? Pre-pandemic, ito ang ginagawa, mas na-strengthen na siya ngayon through virtual. Second, communicate whenever and however possible. This is very important. Whenever and however possible, you are accessible by the parents and teachers are also accessible. Now, it's a two-way thing. Whenever and however possible. Accessibility is the name of the game. Number three, be honest. Right? We don't have all the answers in the world because we don't know the background, the context of every family or of the family of Albert, for example. You can just answer the case of Albert in one sitting, maybe a series of conferences. Just be honest. If you don't know what to do, if you are at a loss, both teachers and parents, then say it. It doesn't make you less of a person or a woman or a man or an administrator if you come clean and be honest that I'm actually at a loss right now. Yeah? And then later, when there is that honesty, help will come from people who think and who are actually the carers of Albert in his village. Number four, avoid blame and seek solutions. It's very easy for us. Sa school kasi, ganito, mga ganyan. Sa bahay yan. Kasi ganito. Kasi nasa labas. All those things. If you want to have an effective partnership and collaboration, we seek for solutions. We don't blame. It doesn't get us, anywhere. Okay? Now, look at that. That's the virus that, SARS and CoV-2 for COVID. All these reminders and tips while there is pandemic. Ang tanong ngayon, can it be done? Yes, resounding yes. Comment kayo dyan sa Facebook pag ginagawa nyo yan. No, we'll really be happy to hear you. Can there be a partnership while we are in this situation? Certainly yes. Okay? Yun, we're very positive on this because we can actually do this. Now at this point, allow me to share a scholarly endeavor that I had. Let me share with you that on November, it was November last year, when an association of guidance counselors of Negros Occidental, the president is from University of St. LaSalle, Poland. He requested that, Doc Nel, why don't you give us something on what are the psychological interventions that kami as teachers and counselors can help to aid in remote teaching. And I thought because I've been talking about homeschool and partnership, I'll give you this real data that I got. Okay? Sige. My two objectives are here, just to situate ourselves, with the current medical health emergency and assess its impact to their jobs as teachers, as counselors, as administrators as well. I also wanted to identify psychological interventions that will help them in remote teaching and learning. It's a village, right? It cannot just be, focused to one group. So, at again, ang background nung mga tanong ko sa kanila, what's happening? Why the need for psychological interventions? What do we know so far? Did we assess when you did that program in that partnership, what was your basis and how? Okay. Most commonly reported issues by students are these things. And I'm sure you've had this lack of sleep. Why? Well, because Wi-Fi is there, the internet is there, and may ibang teachers who would give, like yung issue kahapon, may mga teachers who would give task in email sa gabi na, yung mga ganon, no? Headache, difficulty concentrating, late in submission of requirements, formative assessments, computer strain, that's really true, even for adults and teachers, back pains, pain in the wrist, no? CTS, tawag natin dyan. Worried, they're irritable, they're feeling down. They're always angry, restless. Maybe this is Albert, right? Maybe this is common, no? To our learners now. So for consideration, again, under normal circumstances, there aren't always enough school psychologists or counselors to adequately address students' behavioral needs. Totoo yan. We were already feeling understaffed and unable to get to all the students before the pandemic. And now there is this medical emergency. From research, they would say, we try through parents, but sometimes they don't respond, right? We suggest ideas, but we usually don't hear after that. Yun yung pre-pandemic. Ano kaya ang nangyayari ngayon? That's the question on ano ang ginagawa to aid them in remote learning and teaching. So to come up with that, syempre data-driven tayo, evidence-based tayo. I have, ilan to? More or less, just get the total. So I interviewed this one, just a quick, to have a feel of what are you doing. So ito yung level type of institution. They're all private basic ed. Merong sectarian, merong hindi. And then I asked one dep ed. No? So because this was conducted for Negros Occidental Association of Guidance Counselors, no? Kaya ito yung mga natanungan ko. So that's the data. Okay. Since we have been on online learning and online digital ODL, what recurring problems, issues are disclosed to you by students? What did you do? What are you doing? What interventions did you do? Okay, so ito yung tanong ko sa kanila. And here are their, the first one, no? Anong mga difficulties? Of course, adjustment to online learning, coping with assessment, many tasks. Problem at home kasi, all the tasks given to them, especially younger siblings, modules, increasing number of anxiety. So tumutulong din sila. Let's say, if Albert is 11 years old at kung may kapatid pa siya na younger and, being asked by, oh, Kuya Albert, can you take a look at my module, etc. And then you have your own assignment, right? No? Issue on connectivity, true to all of us. There's the motivation. Being in group activities, no? Those are problems, no? Ito yung issues. Loafing, leader ends up doing things for the group. Yung mga leaders sa grupo, di ba? So, yan. More issues. Need to ask for further explanation but limited interaction. Lack of resources. Laptops or gadgets may not have higher specs for the apps. Some need to borrow or they share with siblings. Some scholars really cannot provide laptops. Mostly find face-to-face learning more effective, lahat naman tayo, because they can seek immediate help for teachers and classmates with the physical factor, contact in coaching, mentoring, etc. Easier magpaturo and magturo pag face-to-face. Okay, we cannot emphasize this enough, but yan talaga. And with that research that I conducted, again, it's there. Others don't find their homes conducive for learning due to overlapping of roles. Ano to? It's your time to wash the dishes, to whatever, and all those. Pero diba, you have an appointment with your teacher at this time. You're supposed to log in and all those things. Others are not comfortable having other members of the family around while they are students, especially when they see being in campus as an escape. By the way, this is true to families at risk. And by the way, in the last 12 months, nag-increase yung abuses at home because perpetrators are at home, right? That's one thing that we also look into. Some teachers po tend to just drop the requirements in the Google Classroom and no synchronous modes or meets. Some po seem to experience cabin fever due to the confinement in their residences. What's cabin fever? Just become irritable, angry. The surge of emotion is there because we're not really born and just stay in a particular place, right? We really like to go out and socialize, but we've been in this for too long already. Another issue, the most common concerns based on our records, one respondent said, adjustments to online delivery, anxiety on workload submission, using the new platform, connectivity, coursework overload. Personal issue, quarantine situation, stress, emotional regulation, and personal coping. For the educational aspects, sagot ng isang tinanong ko, future career goals, financial insecurity, dilemma with course choice, andun pa rin kasi for the basic education, that's not really an issue because, you have to go to school, but what about those na ayaw ko munang mag-junior high school, pwede, I could just, what is it called? Gap year, diba? But no, that's not a Filipino thing to have a gap year. Dapat, meron tayong expectation. Remember the challenge earlier. Other issues have something to do with previous clinical psychological issues, but these are specific cases naman, no? Sige. Some more. Online learning resulting for students to be independent learners. While that is a good thing, but masyadong nabibigyan ng attention ngayon yung, okay, I just really want to stay in my room, so paano na yung impact of the socialization? There is role confusion. Not having a good working or study environment, we also have to be practical about what's the area, as an average in the country, if you are living in a subdivision, low cost for that matter, that would be about 120 square meters. And 120 square meters with, let's say, 6 people in that household. Sa 6 na tao na dyan, 3 or 4 ang nag-aaral, all glued to their computers. Talk about distance, talk about area, talk about, then change of body clock. Remember earlier, they're unable to sleep. So ito, many things, no? But I'd like to highlight doing presentations of parents. My God, when I ask this, ano to? Kasi may mga parents pala tayo, may mga adults pala tayo na mas alam pa ng mga bata kung paano PowerPoint, gagawa ng presentation, yung mga video, yung mga ganyan. So nagiging issue din sa kanila. And all those things I've already mentioned. And of course, because they have access to Netflix, that's an issue. So ang tanong ko ngayon, what did you do? So eto, we need to deploy a lot of student life activities and let them be engaged there para hindi lang focus to academics. Ano tong student life activities? Ito yung some of the guidance centers. They ask their students to whatever hobby you have at home and then share it to us. Let's say if you're doing gardening, you're doing photography or what, then share it to me, share it to the guidance counselor or whatever. Student life activities para while academics of course are important, there's that student life na engagement. And then they did survey. They changed the guidance services online, student services in general, upskilling the counselors in a different new strategies, meaning they have to be trained. We also have weekly consultation. We deploy more on wellness activities and let them engage and feel comfortable. If they feel that way, they engage more in all activities that we started from 10 weekly participants. Now, 200 na ang attending. So, diba? That means this is good. This is a good partnership. No? Online counseling, but counselor and they told me that they have to be comfortable with technology. Lahat naman tayo. And not all counseling approaches or helping approaches are appropriate online. That's also a challenge. And one thing that's really very helpful is presence. Just be there and assuring that I am available. I'd like to share with you, while this is from DepEd and we are in CEAP, but we want to be inclusive, right? And I want to read this to you. Anong ginawa ng isang counselor, no? Actually, sabi niya, This is from a school in North Cotabato. Sabi niya, I already launched my project Paminaw. Paminaw in Bisaya is to listen. No? In English, I mean to listen. Last July 8, 2020 pa. This initiative is an online telecounseling. May helpline kami 24 hours at akong sumasagot. Dito ako tinatawagan ng mga bata at talagang tumatawag sila maliban sa self-referred clients. I also call them or send messages sa mga students to remind them that they can reach out to me anytime. Sabi ng counselor na ito, may na-save na actually ako na 2 cases of suicide attempts through teacher referrals kasi nakita nila yung post sa Facebook. Right? No? Sabi din niya, since July, na-reach na namin yung 70% of the population. Kung anong lalabas na concerns ng mga bata, doon binibase ang mga other interventions na ginagawa. One time, we conducted the orientation on school safety and health protocols or psychological support activity for learners and parents to help students prepare themselves to be ready for the new school year. So ako, this was me talking. So kaninong budget to? Sabi ng counselor, my money. Because counseling is my personal ministry and that's one thing in terms of recruitment pala natin, no? Admins, those are watching now. Importante pala, no? Yung may ganyang commitment na the job is not just my, 8-hour thing, but it is my personal ministry. Since September, when my assistant principal saw that my program is working, binigyan na nila ako ng load, binilhan na nila ako ng Wi-Fi. No? And this might be the case with our other CEAP member schools na may challenges also on financing. No? So ito ginagawa, emotional guidance, guidance services are included in the LMS, no? Pag-usapan mamaya yan. Online delivery of psychoeducational programs. So yung mga ginagawa na before, it has transitioned and converted into virtual activities or platforms. Okay, some more. Suggest to students to set their schedule and try to follow it. Because really, the most that you can do is just talk to them and suggest to them. Whatever they do, yun na nga kasi partnership, right? Routine, physical exercise, so those are things. No? I'd like to focus your attention now here on the last point. And this is where real stories happen. Pag hindi makontak ang student, diretso na ako sa parents, palaban ako sa parents, pupunta na ako sa parents. Actually, dako kayo ang role sa parents, malaki ang role. No? Sometimes, I also include the parents sa counseling or conference for the students. Right? This can be challenging, no? But it can be done. What I saw as effective is small group online sessions. Nagka-chance sila maging komportable on each other kahit online. Okay, ano pa? So we enter classes to give formation sessions. This is very Catholic, no? Formation. Kung ano yan. Our module during the first 2 cycles, nag-include sila ng psychological first aid. So, basta age-appropriate naman, no? Yun. And then, I ended that sharing with these things na pwedeng magamit din, no? I have the references there. Kasi pwede pala, context-based psychological interventions, kahit kunin mo yung word na psychological dyan and then you can repackage it depende on the staff na nandyan, na trained din sa schools natin. No? Kahit sometimes multiple roles tayo, we have these references. Okay? Now, for your reading assignment, ito, very, very doable din ito. 8 ways teachers can continue supporting students during the COVID-19 era. Yan, good, APA, the American Psychological Association, which we also follow. Very important, no? I ended that talk with this. Some principles that we can guide in your context-based interventions with this partnership. So I said connection and connectivity. It's not only the technology that I'm talking about, but that personal connectivity, hearing and listening, seeing and feeling, to adjust and consider 3 C's, care, compassion, and consideration. Yun yung 3 C's that I've been talking and I've been sharing and, my advocacy. You care, you become compassionate, and then the consideration is especially on deadlines. Go above and beyond. No? Ano nga yung sabi kanina? To communicate whenever and however possible. Okay. On the other hand, I gave a talk on this to another group invited me. This is from attended Davao grade school. They thought, Doc, tulungan mo naman kami. Sabi ko, anong gusto niyo to give to your parents? So they asked for my opinion, etc. Wag na yung parenting seminar. I thought, let's ask them. Because this was, did I do this November? Yeah, November. A conversation on parent resilience. Mag-usap tayo. So ang tanong ko, and then I had the title, What Sustains You? What sustains you? So, yun yung tanong ko sa kanila, and then we had this. My question sa kanila is that retrace where we were. What did you do? What right did you do? And okay, so and then again, the backdrop of that is everybody's affected, yet here we are, parents, we thrive, we survive. The next logical question I ask them, what do we have? Why are we still here? Isn't this a simple case of survival of the fittest? I mean, we just have to, wala tayong choice. Where is this truly coming from? What sustains? I asked the parents. And then this one, no, may activity kaming ginawa. I gave them 30 seconds and identify your sources of strength. Alam natin to, but if we give attention and focus a particular time and devote, people will think if we just give time to that. So possible answers, eto, faith, family, friends, work, hobbies, just have to, marami. But it's important, and what I notice is that talagang kahit hindi mo sabihin sa kanila yung religion, faith aspect, that's the first thing. That's good. Again, this is very consistent with the research that we ran with our schools. Okay. So for consistency, I gathered real data, real practices in real time. So I asked the headmaster of our grade school. So tinanong ko sa kanya, what have you done? Okay, that's thank you, Teacher Pop. Okay, eto, look at that. Webinar on understanding the Google Classroom, information session, and making the home a learning environment, orientation, ginagawa natin yan, no? But I'm just showing you na in this part of the country, we're also doing what you're doing. Therefore, we are on the same boat. And pareho pala kami. And it gives us a feeling of what? Assurance na, yay. Family day, the different grade levels, kapehan sessions, quarterly parent-teacher conference, no? All of these things are online. So I said, is there something new, different, or radical na that ginawa nyo, no? So they created a virtual site for eye care. Okay, for parents to have access to different offices and events in the grade school, such as art exhibit and so forth, etc., etc. So the back of our head right now, then that therefore needs a real infrastructure, people with technology na medyo advanced yung kanilang knowledge. So yeah, there are those. Expanded the report card to include the grade book, whatever is your learning management system. This will give them a more comprehensive report and hopefully a better, of course, appreciation, because when you know how your children are doing in school, di ba, you would be, ito ang progress niya. What else? Partnerships, this is just again a proof of what we had earlier, constant communication and transparency. They can email the teachers for follow-up, clarification. At the onset, parents were made to understand that their role is simply to ensure that pupils are on task, the teaching will be done by the teacher, and the task and the learning will be done by the pupils. Di ba, malaking assurance yun. Now, adult supervisors will neither teach nor coach the pupils, rather they will just remind the pupils to pay attention. Now, both the home and school have an understanding that we keep the best interest of the children. But most importantly, as we are in the Catholic education, hinabol to ni Teacher Pop sa akin. We conduct parent recollections too. Advent recollection, Lenten recollection for grade school parents. Diba? Just to anchor. And from our moderator, thank you so much, Ms. Chrissy, for sharing this to me. So tinanong ko rin siya, no? We made sure to hold sessions with them at the start of the year to orient them on navigating their own LMS. Then, in the middle of the year, no, imagine, remember what I said earlier, na hindi lang siya at the start, but follow through and follow up. We had a check-up activity with them to ask how they're doing, to allow them to share their thoughts and feelings and concerns, right? We also released 2 survey forms. Ito yung gusto ko, to gather feedback. Okay, first survey after the first month of classes. So we felt their stress and we made a few adjustments. Ito yung sabi ko kanina, those plans that you did during May or what, change them. No? Because we're always looking at the result of that assessment, what's happening now, real time, right? So, second survey in the third quarter, which mostly showed remaining concerns or suggestions. and adjustments had made because of what they suggested. And then the Parent Teachers Council, also the Executive Board, also organized an online webinar on adjusting to online delivery of learning and virtual, gusto ko ito, virtual family day for games and online kainan, di ba? I think ginawa natin tong lahat nung Christmas. Sige, dude, may mga people from around the country or your relatives, kain tayo, just show what they have. Okay? So, what do these things tell us? That the partnership can be done. It really does take a village to raise a child, especially during these difficult times. I don't want to say that during this pandemic because it's not only during pandemic. Think of, okay, 7 years pa daw yung ganito, sabi ng isang nabasa ko. How can you imagine yourself doing exactly these things now? So, isali na natin yung difficult times. Pwede naman pala talagang gawin ang partnership na ito. In conclusion, I have these things to live with you. While it is challenging, it can be done. It may seem difficult, but we find creative, sometimes radical ways. Bakit radical? Because there are things that you haven't done before. And you are the pioneering person who will do that. And you are unsure if people, if your administrators, if whoever will support you on that. Number two, we all have the same interest at heart. We may not feel the same, but we can enter into a conversation and dialogue. And that's what partners are for. Number three, stick with what works, but be humble enough to recognize and admit that some programs do not work. Teachers, parents, administrators, it's all right. Not all schools are made the same. By now, you know that already. So, rethink, refocus, ask for help. Who knows, yung sagot ng iniisip mo, nandyan lang sa kanila kasi alam nila. So, isn't that what people in a village do, in your barangay, in your purok, in your sitio? Ask whoever is expert on this. No? Again, it doesn't make you less of a person if you admit that I'm having an issue, I need your help. Okay? Remember that. Number four, capitalize on your school strengths. What's your strength? I'm a small Catholic school. I get support from PAAC. I get support from this. Marami kaming utang. But what's your school strengths? Your human resource. Right? Because only if you ask them, di ba, saka mo malalaman, pwede pala, no, kahit walang bayad, pwede pala nila itong gawin. So capitalize on your school strengths, the resources of your school. And lastly, never lose sight of what truly matters to you. As a parent, as an administrator, or whatever is your role in the village, commit to that. Okay? So let's go back. Let's partner and collaborate for Albert. From being vindictive, spiteful, maybe we can turn Albert into someone who's happy and someone who will grow to be a better person. Okay? These are my references. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to my session. And I'll turn you over now to our moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nelly. I agree that it is difficult, most especially now, but indeed it can be done. I can't wait for our Q&A later. So we will now have the second part of this session that will focus on what parents are doing to provide maximum learning for their children while attending school from the home. Our second speaker is Mrs. Cherrie L. Ragunton, therapist and mental health professional, life coach, and administrator of Interspect Training Services, a training, counseling, coaching, and psychology review center in Marikina City. She has had years of experience in the corporate setting as well as in the academe, and she is also a very fulfilled mom and helps other moms feel fulfilled as well. She pioneered the Coaching Moms community in her country, a support network for mothers, with the intention to help them, especially those stay at home moms, to continuously develop their skills and pursue their passions. Let us all please welcome Mrs. Cherrie L. Ragunton.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning po sa lahat ng ating mga viewers, administrators ng schools, and especially, of course, the parents. So this is an honor for me to be able to share what I experience as a mom and as a parent, and also at the same time as a mental health professional. So it's so nice to hear from the presentation and sharing of Dr. Nelly, because she actually made my role this morning a lot easier, because for my part, I will just be, emphasizing more of what she shared already, no? And there are three parts of my sharing, which of course, the number one are, I will be sharing some articles that I was able to get from the internet, on, of course, the efforts of the school and why we have to do collaboration with the school right now, and of course my own experience as a mom and as a parent, and how we are dealing with this online schooling at the moment, and even my own struggles, no. And it is with all humility that I am in front of all of you right now to actually, admit and share my own stories na hindi po ako exempted, even if I do coaching, even if I am a mental health professional. I am not exempted with all these challenges that we are going through right now. And of course, I will be sharing also some skills that I do have and I do practice and I share with other parents, as mentioned by Ma'am Chrissy kanina, that I pioneered the Coaching Moms community. So yan. So let's start. Of course, as I've mentioned, it's so nice to hear from probably for some of you who were able to listen to the conversation or to the summit yesterday. And it was also mentioned by Dr. Nelly earlier that the school has been doing a lot, no? Schools have been doing a lot of things to be able to help us parents at this point of time and our children. And they have been doing a lot of meaningful things and activities for us to be able to be involved in the process of the online schooling right now in such a way that we could be able to somehow attain, no, the success of the online schooling for our children at this point of time. And given that, okay, we also have, no, as parents, baka kasi po nakakalimutan natin that sabi nga ni Dr. Nelly kanina, this is a collaboration. It's an engagement. But a lot of parents, I still, I could still hear a lot of parents, telling na, trabaho ng school yan eh, responsibility ng teachers yan eh. But we have to understand that this is, no, of all the times na we have to collaborate and work with the school and the teachers, this is actually the best time to be able to do that. Because of course, we know that teachers are the experts on instructions. They know what are the things to be able to provide to progress our kids in terms of academic. Yet of course, yung setting, especially now that everyone's working from home, children are learning from home, it makes it difficult for the teachers, no, to actually supervise and individually support every child that they have, no. And that's why we as parents, we need to complement whatever it is that's lacking or that needs to be done, because we are supposed to be working as one, no. And of course, at the end of the day, we have the common goal, and I'm sure all teachers are, sabi nga kanina, na mararamdaman, ito yung best time talaga to actually, this is really the time for the teachers to really feel that I am doing a fulfilling job. And because of that, as parents and teachers collaborating and working together, we have a common goal, and that is to help our kids learn, become successful, and at the end, become happy. Diba? And because of all those things at the end, alam natin that this is the basis of a powerful and sustainable collaboration. That at the end of the day, what we have as our intention as parents, yun din po ang intention ng ating mga teachers and school administrators. Ayan. Okay. So this is according to United Nations on their website last, I believe this is middle of 2020 last year. They said that on several studies, they have proven that collaboration between parents and teachers and even the school improves children's academic achievement, work habits, social skills, and emotional well-being. So as kanina pinakita rin po ni Dr. Nelly that there are some research that actually have proven that collaboration doesn't just benefit our kids, but it also benefits the parents and the teachers as well. Yan. And because of that, we know that this pandemic has been has created the largest disruption of education systems in history. And we have seen a lot of talk, or already we have listened earlier, what are the things that the school has been have been doing in terms of being able to provide a more effective way of learning for our children. And because of this, we really have to be active. We have to be really deliberate in collaborating with our schools and teachers. Yeah. And of course, because of all these things that's happening, everybody's shaken, lahat po tayo naguguluhan, we are overwhelmed, and it added additional, responsibility for us. Dati, I would remember it's a lot easier before, diba, that we prepare our kids, drive them to school and go to work and all those things. But at this point of time, marami sa atin working from home pa rin, and it has, added additional role, and even at some point ay nagiging burden yung role na yon. And at the same time, we also have to think about how we could be able to protect our family, the safety of our family. And ito yung isang bagay po na probably I myself, I would have to admit that I actually taken it for granted. I thought that being safe, because I'm the runner in the family. I go out, do the grocery and all those things, and then I thought that my role is just to be able to keep myself healthy and safe, not being able to bring virus when I get home. But it's more than that, no? But of course, that's very important. But at the end of the day, even all these things that's happening at the moment, the online, the online studying, interacting virtually, it also has an impact to our children. Akala lang natin sanay sila, no? But it's actually not. It's not the case. So and at the same time, we have to also minimize the impact of all these things that's happening to our children's academic performance and well-being. So yun po yung mga i-share ko later on what are the things that I have been practicing, and also what I have heard from from other coaches and other parenting experts that I have been connected with also. Yan. So so how do we start, no? How can we be able to protect our kids? Sabi nga, it's really difficult because it takes a village to raise children, especially this pandemic. But it's also very possible. It's not impossible, but it takes a lot of deliberate action. No? So sabi nga dito, according to Forbes, for the last decade, parents have quadrupled their investment of time and money in their children. But more than ever now, that I believe that the investment on time doesn't have to be just the time, but it has to be with mindful attention and connection. Ayun. So paano po natin to gagawin, no? We have to remember, parents, that at the end of the day, what matters most in our children's life is us, being there, not just being physically present, but being emotionally present, being, being uh, mindfully present for them. But because at the end of the day, the grades and even the technology, the gadgets that we are providing for them would not really matter, because at the end of the day, connections matter more than connectivity. Connectivity in terms of the internet, the digital age, no? Because at the end also, family is our most important ministry, because we are, we are here in the Catholic education, and it's very important na, of course, I understand. Ako po, no, I'm really doing a lot of things. I do coaching. As a mental health professional, I help a lot of organizations. I do consulting, and I'm also taking up my PhD. Tapos suddenly all these things happened, and then I needed to assist my daughter also with all the things that she's doing. And I just needed to remind, no, at the end of the day, what matters most to me and what is my priority. And at the end of the day, it's my daughter, it's my family. So sometimes we really have to, to put off some things. But at the end of the day, we feel fulfilled because we prioritize what needs to be prioritized. Okay. So we also have to remember, parents, kung meron man pong expert sa buhay ng mga anak natin, tayo po yun. Because we are the ones who are spending a lot of time with them. And they spend most of the time with us, especially now that we are all at home. Whereas ang mga teachers po natin, they change annually. For college, they change every term or sem, no? And who is the best, no, or who could be the person who could accumulate a wealth of knowledge about our children? It's still us. Dapat tayo po yung unang nakakaalam kung ano ang kanilang learning style. Dapat tayo po ang nakakaalam kung ano ang kanilang yung mga attitude, behavior, kung ano ang kanilang mga triggers and all. Which of course, because of our busyness, we could have the tendency to actually neglect that and at the same time overlook them, no? So this is the best time to actually, raising a children would also remind us na, teka, what have I learned already about my kids? What do I know about them? Because as they grow up, they change, no? Lahat ng in all aspects, they change their likes, their preferences, and even their learning styles. So as we work from home and as we monitor our kids and help them, it is the best time to actually rediscover our kids also. Yeah. So how do we do that, no? Sometimes just reading a book, ito yung mga kadalasan we tend to take it for granted. Just reading a book or discussing a movie that we watch with them is a form of personalized learning, not just for our kids, but also for us parents, no? There was a time that we were watching some anime, and I was so surprised to learn how my daughter actually thinks already. Nasabi ko, I believe she was like 15 or 16 years old during the time at when she mentioned about her perception about the movie or her insights. I was quite surprised. Oh my God, yung 15-year-old ko parang hindi na pala 15-year-old. So it was a discovery moment for me also. It was a aha moment for me also. So parents, we are the single biggest predictor of our children's life outcomes. So kung hindi man po nagwo-work well ang whatever is happening right now or whatever is going through with our kids right now, we're done with that concept na anong ginagawa ng school, anong ginagawa ng teacher. Ako, whenever my daughter is going through something, I always go back to myself, no? So yung inner compass na, what am I doing? Saan ako nagkulang? Or what did I not do to be able to, to achieve our goal, no? Because at the end of the day, our children is our kids are our responsibility. It's kumbaga parang tayo yung captain of the ship. And we cannot just abandon and we cannot just look for people to blame because of what's happening. Ayan. Okay. So, how can we be able to help our kids more? Parents, we have to understand also that as our kids age, as they grow older, relationship could not, naglalighten or at some point ay hindi nagiging strong, no, in terms of the connection, no. So what we always believe in terms of parenting is our foundation as parents in our relationship is very important. All the kinds of relationship with our spouses, with our kids, with the teachers and the school and other people in the village, it needs to have a foundation. And for us to be able to create those kinds of foundation, it has to be founded in trust, love, unconditional acceptance, lalo na po sa anak natin, ano. I've talked to a lot of parents, no, when they would ask me to coach their kids na he used to be an honor roll, but now pagdating ng homeschooling, hindi man lang siya pumapasok sa top 5. So things like that. Okay? And I guess as parents, we always have to remember in terms of ano ba ang importante. Okay, kapag hindi na ba pasok sa honors ang aking anak ay hindi ko na siya accepted, no? So we have to always go back to the concept of unconditional acceptance, that regardless of flaws, regardless of, not being on top, we are still accepting our kids, our children. Yeah. So, and it's the same thing also with the foundations for the relationship with the teachers, no? And I will be sharing also later on how we can be able to create better relationships with the teachers. Ayan. Okay, so these are the things that I have compiled in terms of how I was able to get through with all these things that's going on, and how I could be able to collaborate also with the school and especially the teachers. Kanina sinabi po ni Miss Nelly, and I could not just emphasize enough. Communication is very important during this time. Let's stop assuming, no? It's very difficult to assume na, ay, okay lang yung anak ko, which I will be sharing later on my own experience. Ayan. Okay. What we have to do is to really become, we really have to initiate in terms of communicating, especially to the teachers, our concerns. Sabi nga kanina, concerns not just because of achievements or anything else, but if our kids or our child requires extra help, it needs to be communicated to the teacher. Because remember, parents, that teachers are not just dealing with few kids, but they are dealing with a lot, no? And I guess normally ang hinahawakan nila for one subject alone is just about 40 to 50 students. So just try to imagine how much is that for our teachers. And through communication, we are actually not just doing a favor to ourselves, but we're also helping the teachers to be able to, look in a different perspective, that this is what's happening. Ako, when I communicated some concerns with my about my daughter to the advisor, what I have in mind is not to actually call out, no, kung ano ang naging problema nung panahon na yon, but it's more of telling letting know the advisor na, teacher, this is what's happening to my daughter. Baka it might be also happening to other kids. And at least the teacher could have the idea na, oo nga, no, baka I could do other things, or I could do extra assistance for the students or the teachers. Ayan. So we have to be involved also, providing a working space and create an environment conducive to learning at home. Ito po, this is something that I would share, no, that I have become very vulnerable this past few months. Because of the pandemic, my daughter is also someone who prefers face-to-face, no. Pre-COVID, I never had experience of difficulty waking her up. No, she would wake up in the morning easily. She doesn't want to be late in school, even the submissions. So I was very confident that she's okay. And then here comes that, of course, nag-pandemic, nagkaroon ng isang issue with schoolwork, and it affected her so much, and we were able to communicate that to the teachers. And then here comes the typhoon. If you can remember po, nagkaroon tayo ng Typhoon Ulysses that flooded the Marikina, where I'm actually from Marikina. So I needed to take in relatives. Okay, and I thought that they were just going to stay for a few weeks, but they actually, stayed here for 2 months, no? So being a Christian, I could not just, it's something that I had a struggle because I cannot just tell them, please go home already, and all those things. However, when they were here, my when I took those relatives, I told my daughter, we have to let them use your bedroom. My daughter's bedroom is also where she works. No, she does all her her learning at in that particular space because that is where she feels comfortable. And just try to imagine for 2 months she wasn't able to use that space. And I took it for granted. I overlooked that, and I never imagined that it's going to be an issue for her. Okay, so there was a lot of struggle and understanding, but let's not you know just think na ay hindi, okay lang siya kahit saan. So parents, please be involved and find out where your kids are actually very comfortable. As for me, that was a big learning experience for me, that we cannot just take it for granted na you can go everywhere and learn, no? So because they do have that feeling of, I am more focused here, I could learn better here, and I could be able to work better in this particular space, no? Yeah. Establish routine. Of course, we know that this is not the normal thing anymore, but creating the new normal routine will be able to help us all, no, not just for our kids. So from waking up, of course, nababago ang ating body clock because of all these things. Kids nowadays would prefer working late at night. I do have some coaches na mas gusto nila they could be able to work until 12 or 1 o'clock because that's the time that the environment is quiet, no? But we just have to make sure that the meal, the study times, the bonding times are not being neglected, and even the sleeping time. Remember that in the context of mental health, lack of sleep could actually affect the focus and the ability to be productive. Ayan. So as much as possible, we have to create a better as much as the new normal routine, kahit na hindi na po talaga siya ganun ka-normal in compared to pre-COVID. Be vigilant. Part of our child protection is to become somehow nosy. Kahit na nagagalit po ang ating mga anak, no, they would tell us, I'm sure baka may iba po sa inyo dito, parents who would probably heard already, you are invading my privacy. May mga ganyan po because my daughter once told me that. Okay. But we have to be very particular about this as much as possible. Let's part of protecting our kids is protecting them from harm online activities. So please do check your parental controls, the websites, kahit very brief lang kung ano yung mga ino-open nilang websites and even the content that they are viewing. And of course, part of when we do have meals or bondings or watching something about the internet, we always have to remind them about how to stay safe online. That's part of our role, because if we will not do it, they will just explore everything in the internet. Okay, get support. Ayan. Sabi ko nga po sa inyo, I'll be sharing my own struggle and challenges and how I was able to cope up with all these things, na kahit nandito po ako sa profession, I am not exempted. Okay? So get support. It's okay to seek help when we are feeling overwhelmed and need and feel the need to rest. No? So when my daughter lost her track in studying, she was not able to submit some requirements because of the working space that she had na hindi niya nagamit for several months, no, for 2 months. So it was a big eye opener for me, no. At first I was of course trying to keep it to myself. Sabi ko, hindi ko kaya ko to. But then when I was already feeling overwhelmed, I needed to really contemplate. And with all humility, I told myself, bakit ba ayokong humingi ng tulong, no? So there comes the inner voice of telling me na, ay kasi I have this kind of, pride and ego somehow that I am in the helping profession. Why would I ask help, no? So yon yung mga pumapasok yon. But then it's overwhelming, and I don't know to actually, I really don't know where to start. Intellectually, I know how to start, but the first step on how to actually do it, it was quite overwhelming. So with all humility, I talked to the teacher, to the advisor, and even to the life mentor of my daughter. And I needed to involve some friends, no, trusted friends, na um, and this is one thing that we have to think about. We're talking about it takes a village to raise a child, and it was all with, as I've mentioned, humility, and a lot of coming from the context of I love my daughter, so I should be doing this, and I will be forgetting my ego and pride, no. So I talked to some kumare. So this is where, no, the importance of the ninong, the ninang, the relatives would come in, no, and really admit to them, sorry, I need help. I need, even I myself need to get insights and opinion of others. And the last thing that actually helped us was how to be able to get the motivation of my daughter to work again is to actually request my kumare na I need your help. Can we ask your daughter to work with my daughter? No, so things like that. And I guess yun yung ano natin, that we always have to open ourselves to the possibility and opportunity that there are a lot of people who's really willing to help and give assistance, but it's just that because tayo lang ang, we are just the ones preventing from getting all those assistance and support, no? But no parents, we always have to remember and know that a lot of people out there, especially during this time, that we are all struggling, we are all needing help. A lot of people out there are willing to give support. All we have to do is to just ask for help. And it's okay to seek help. No? Ayun po. Next is to coach them, help them when they have problems with learning tasks, but not necessarily doing it for them. And part of my presentation and sharing is to share some coaching skills, because everybody can be a coach. And, you know, when it comes to coaching, it's all about having the intention that I want the best for my kid, no, or for my kids, and influence them, showing them how to stay positive and hopeful. Kasi if we are the ones who's losing the motivation, if we are the ones losing the energy to fight, to really survive, then what's going to be the effect on them, no? You remember, parents, that we are projecting the energy to the people in our surroundings. So we have to be the ones who should be very optimistic and positive during these times. Ako, I was very overwhelmed these past few months because of all the things that I need to do, taking care of the business, taking up my PhD course, and may pinagdadaanan si daughter, and all I have to do is, anak, laban lang, lalaban tayo hanggang kaya natin. And it helps a lot, no? It inspires them if we could be able to show and manifest our own positivity and hopefulness. Ayan. So now I'm here for some of the important coaching skills that I would like to share to everyone, and I hope that you will be able to get something from this. And this also goes for the teachers, no? Sabi ko nga po, anybody can be a coach. But of course, for those who wanted to get, a certification in coaching, there are a lot of organization offering right now. But in terms of how we can be able to help our kids and our other people, coaching could be a very good way, because at the end of the entire context of coaching is bringing out the innermost potential in an individual, or in our children, for optimum performance through conversation, no? So this is all about conversation, and I will be giving some skills later on, no? So remember that it says here conversation, but not necessarily telling us that it's a telling or instructing thing. Coaching is all about involving the person or the coachee in such a way that they could be able to realize what's happening to them. Coaching, the basic foundation of coaching is that we need to assume strength and capability, not the weakness, helplessness, or even the dependence. No, I guess parents. I've talked to a lot of wounded people, adults, teenagers, that they have been telling me that in the process of not believing in themselves actually started from childhood, because very sad to hear, and very heartbreaking to know that a lot of wounded people who doesn't believe in themselves actually heard it from their own family members, that you are not good enough, hindi ka maganda, hindi ka matalino, and all. But in the coaching process, it is us, no, parents, who should be the first one to believe that our kids have strength. Of course, there is no such thing as perfect. Even tayo po, we are not perfect as parents. But we always have to focus on what they are doing best, on what they are good at. And that is all about focusing on what's strong and not on what's wrong. Because if we will focus, kasi I don't know, no, ako growing up to a very traditional family, I lost my mom when I was only 5. So my dad has been working for all of us. At ang nag-aalaga sa amin ay relatives. Relatives would come and go. And what I could remember, when there was a time also that I lived in with a relative, kinakausap lang kami pag may problema, right? 'Di ba? That's the traditional way of, parenting and family dynamics before. Kakausapin lang tayo ng mga parents natin pag may mali, pag may problema. So whenever they were never able to, emphasize what we are doing well, no? So this is the chance, parents. In the coaching, I am part of the Love Institute. We are a group of coaches and counselors who are really helping families to have a better family dynamics and relationship. What we always tell people is that, or parents, is that you don't just talk to your parents, to your kids when they have done something wrong, but you also emphasize what they are doing best, no? So yun po yung concept ng coaching. Okay. So in coaching, we also assume a deep desire to give the best and achieve the potential. Of course, I know that even the school and the teachers have that, that goal, diba? That we always wanted the best for our kids. So in coaching, it's like what you are seeing here in the picture. The mom is actually helping the child to actually write, no? Coaching is like that. We don't let go of our kids. We don't let go of our coaching if they are not, if they are not learning yet, no? Um, in the corporate context, coaching is like teaching the coachee how to ride the bicycle, na hindi mo bibitawan kaagad ang coachee mo or ang anak mo kung alam mong hindi pa niya kayang magbalanse. But we are going through with them. We are journeying with them. And that's very important for our kids, especially during this time that we are all, we are still in the pandemic. Everybody's, in this transition of face-to-face to online schooling, na kailangan maramdaman nila na I have my parents with me right now and they are willing to do everything to be able to assist me. No, yun po siya. Okay. So what is the first skill of coaching? As I've mentioned, I just choose the few of the things, no? But it's very important that we need to listen, parents. Ayan. Not just listening, not just hearing, but listening with consciousness, with a purpose and a focus. Ayan. Because in most cases, we talk to our kids to tell them what to do, to instruct them what to do. But in the coaching and conversation, we wanted to find out what is going on in their minds. What are they actually feeling? And that is very important. No? I've heard a lot from teenagers na sinasabi nila when I would remind them, why not talk to your parents? And they will immediately say, why would I talk to them? They're not listening at all. So why would I say something? No? So I guess parents in this time that we are all trying to survive, it's very important that we are not just physically present, but we are emotionally present to our kids, no? And we can actually do that by just telling them, anak, I really wanted to know what's going on with you. I really wanted to know what's in your mind and what you are really feeling. So that is listening, no? I love what Ralph Waldo Emerson says here, that who you are speaks so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying. Because what matters is how we make our kids feel when we are conversing with them. It's the feeling. It's not what we are saying. It's not who we are being the parent and authority, but it's more of what is the feeling that my kid is actually getting when I am having conversation with them. Am I creating excitement, or am I creating, positivity, or am I inflicting pain or fear or even worries, no? So but when we listen to them, they could be able to really feel na, okay, my parents wanted to understand me, no? Yon. The next is self-management. So this is our role as parents and being a coach to our kids, no? About it is our ability, parents, to put aside all our judgment and opinions as well as our emotions. Most of the time, when we talk to our kids, we all have this concept in our mind. Nako, itong batang to matigas ang ulo. This child is very stubborn. This child is lazy. This child is disrespectful. So when we are having conversations with our kids, it's very important that we have to set aside all the mistakes, all the things that they have done wrong, and focus on the here and the now. It's being mindful. Okay, I won't remember anything na about the past, whatever mistakes, but I will focus on the what's happening at this very moment. And that is all about, I wanted to be engaged. I wanted to be able to understand my child. And whatever emotions, may masama man ng loob or judgments that I had, I will put it aside. And it's very difficult, parents, kasi our tendency is to bring up everything, even those things that happened many, many years ago. Our tendency is to bring it up and tell our kids, di ba ginawa mo to dati? You've done this before. You were not able to submit these things months before. So, what do you think the child would feel if we will keep on, bringing back all those things? Yeah. So self-management is important. It's not easy, but it's doable, parents. Ayan. Okay. Next is asking powerful questions. As I said, coaching is not all about telling our kids what to do, but coaching is a conversation, but we use more questioning, powerful questions in such a way that when we do that, our kids will be able to get clarity. They will be able to think about action. They will be able to discover something. It's actually bring out their creativity and resourcefulness, and even be able to make them commit. Ayan. It also creates greater possibility, new learning, or clearer vision. Tayo po, no? Ako, as a parent myself, I was able to discover a lot of things when I was having these kinds of conversation with my daughter. Okay, ganun pala yun, ano? Yung mga ganon. So it's not just that we are doing these kinds of things for our kids in such a way that they will learn from us, but it's also our opportunity to learn from them. Remember, parents, that our kids in this generation are the digital natives. Tayo mga digital passerby lang tayo, di ba? But our kids, bigyan mo yan ng isang app or bigyan mo ng gadgets, in no time, they could actually navigate already. So it is our time also to learn from them. And we can do that through our conversations. When we do coaching and ask powerful questions, as much as possible, we try to avoid questions that are answerable by yes or no. Okay, as much as what we have to remember is to have a more fluid and conversational moment, and we can be able to do that by using open-ended questions, no? Because if we use close-ended, answerable by yes or no, they could easily dismiss that. So if they answer yes or no, it could be very difficult already for us to get another question. That's why in listening, it's very important to also practice the one we call the focused listening. And when we say focused listening, whatever our child would say, the next question will be about what the child actually said, no? Kung ano yung last na sinabi niya, that is where we should be asking question coming. The next question should be coming from. Because the instinct and the natural way, the natural thinking of our kids is to get out of the conversation, lalo na kung hindi po maganda ang foundation ng relationship, no? Ang gusto nila, maiiksing conversation, no? And it's an escape. If we will be asking questions answerable by yes or no, immediately ang thinking nila, okay, this is my escape. So end of conversation, I'm done. Especially, sabi ko nga, kung hindi maganda ang relationship. That's why we need to use more open-ended questions. Like, ano yung mga examples ito? Napakarami po, no? What have you learned from this experience, no? Ako, ang normal ko is, of course, what is going on right now, anak? Yan. Because of this, because of what you are doing right now, how is it affecting you, anak? Mga ganon, no? And at some point, powerful questions that's usually taken for granted, anak, kamusta ka ngayong umaga? Or kamusta ka ngayong araw, no? Kamusta or how are you is a very powerful question. And from that answer, coming from kamusta ka, could actually, lead us to create more powerful questions in such a way that we will be able to understand also what are the thoughts and feelings of our kids. Yan. So the next po, the skill of being a coach and a parent is challenging and championing. And this will only happen if we know what are the good qualities and the strength of our children, no? So challenging and championing is standing up for them when they doubt or question their abilities. I've heard a lot of, of kids saying na hindi ko kaya yan, or even my daughter would tell me, "Mommy, it's too much, it's overwhelming, and I don't know, no, if I can do it." But we know when we challenge and champion them, they could be able to realize na, oh, my mom is actually believing in me, so I should be believing in myself, no? So these words could be, come on, you can make it, no? Yung mga ganyan. And I believe in you, anak, kaya mo yan. So that's very important. And the thing is, if we are not so generous about affirmation and acknowledgement, mahihirapan po talaga tayong mag-challenge and champion ng ating anak. So that's why, sabi ko nga, in most cases, growing up, ang nakasanayan natin, we get to have that kind of experience that we are being talked to, or we are just having conversations before because we created mistake or we had done something wrong. And therefore, we are not used to affirmations. We are not used to acknowledgement. And if we are not used to getting affirmation, it's very difficult for us to give it to others also. So I guess what my challenge to everyone and my intention for everyone is, after this, it will be a goal for every parent to be more natural and practice affirmation, acknowledgement, challenging, and championing, because it will really boost the self-esteem and confidence of our children. Ayan. The next is accountability. So how do we get our kids to be more accountable? It's making them responsible for what they said. But again, what they said should not come from us, not parents telling them and instructing them what to do. But it's more of, asking them, again, using the powerful questioning on how we could be able to bring out accountability and responsibility in them. So questions could be, what do you plan to do, anak? So this is what's happening to you right now. What could be the first step that you could do to be able to address all those that's what's happening to you right now, no? Ayan. Kailan mo gagawin? Ayan. Oh, marami kang backlog. You have many backlogs. You have a lot of pendings. Then when are you going to start? If they will say, okay, mommy, I'll do it later, even if it's just one. Ako, that's what I always tell my daughter. Anak, you don't have to do everything all at once. Let's do it step by step, one at a time. Even how small it is, you have to do just one, kahit isang araw. Because if you will be able to do that, then you will feel that you are getting the pace, you are getting the momentum. But what I would just request, please don't stop. No? So now, when do you start? And then when they say, okay, tomorrow or okay, later, what we have to do as parent is to actually follow up. Oh, anak, you said earlier, you're going to do it at 4 p.m. It's going to be 4 p.m. na. Is it okay if I ask you again later? Kasi baka mamaya makulitan naman sila sa atin. Yan. And yon, as I've mentioned, how will I know, anak, if you were able to finish it na? How will I know if you were able to do it na? are you okay to let me know, or just, probably shout from your bedroom that, mommy, it's done, and all those things. No? So when we do this, um, we are making our kids commit na, oh, you said it's 4 p.m. Okay. But of course, when we do all these things of conversations, we also have to take note the voice, no, the tone of our voice, parents, because the tone itself could already bring out some, some emotions to our kids. Tumaas lang ng konti ang boses natin, it could already affect their emotions. Yan. Okay. The last, I believe, this is the last skill, forwarding the action. So it's not enough that we are helping them become more aware of what's happening to them. It's not enough that we are letting them think about the choices and options of what to do with what they are going through. But it's also very important for us to move them forward. And we could still do this through the use of a request or powerful question. So questions like, when are you going to do it? Ayan. How are you going to do it? No? So when we use the question how, they're already trying to think about the steps, no? But what's good about that, when we ask them how, is that they are, using their mind to become more creative. And that's what we wanted to happen, parents, no? Na at the end of all these things, collaborating with the schools, with the relatives, close friends, people that matters to us in raising our kids, at the end of the day, we don't want our kids to be dependent. What we wanted to happen is to develop a self-regulating kids who could be able to, decide for themselves later on. Because as parents, what we can do as parents is to prepare our kids for life. We cannot prepare life for our kids, no? So what we have to do is to really bring out in them their ability to create choices, to decide, to be creative, and, take actions on whatever they are going through, no? So yun po. Because at the end, I just chance upon reading this article from Forbes magazine, or from Forbes.com also. I like what Alejandro Artigas, who is a founder and CEO of Springboard Collaborative. I would suggest also for parents watching right now, and even teachers, to check the Springboard Collaborative, because they are very generous with the materials that they are actually sharing on how to be able to help parents and teachers in terms of, activities and probably systems that you could also adapt. No, what I love, what he said, is that parents' love for the children is the single greatest yet most underutilized natural resource in education. I love it, because, you know we have the tendency as parents to just really focus on our responsibilities, na hindi, responsibilidad ko na pag-aralin ang anak ko. It is my responsibility to make them, study, to provide for them. No, but I guess that's one thing that we always have to remember, the big why of our life as parents. Why are we here as parents? No? And whenever we are encouraging our kids to do good, it's not because we wanted it na, kasi people will, the concept of, the idea of what other people will think about my family, di ba? The perception of other people. I guess if we are trying to do something, we always have to go back to the big why, na I have to do this because I love my daughter or I love my kids and I'm not going to be here forever. And as I do all these things, educating them through my love, they will become more prepared to stand on their own when they become an adult. So let's always remember that our love for our kids will always have to be the main reason for us to be refueled, for us to be, to keep on going, whatever challenges that we are going through right now. But parents, what I would also like to, to leave also as I part from this presentation is that we are not alone in raising our kids. Again, as I've mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people who's willing to help. All we have to do is to just seek help, and it's okay to seek help. Ayan po. Okay. So Parents, if you wanted to learn more about things, the coaching, being a parent, and to become more intentional parents, I asked the permission of the organizers later on. We are actually launching the season 4 for School of Parents. So you can go to the Facebook page of the Love Institute. So you could be able to learn how, and you will be meeting the parenting experts. So I am one of the coaches there. And I hope that what I shared right now was just a preview of what you could be able to learn in the School of Parents. Ayan po. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to the administrators, teachers, and parents who are listening right now. I hope I was able to share something to all of you, something valuable. Ayan po. Okay.
Hello, and welcome to God's Park. Let's have a tour of what's in store for you, shall we? God's Park is loaded with animated videos, interactive text lessons, offline mission tasks, and fun games that boost faith. Once you've logged on with your account, you'll immediately realize God's Park's simple storyline. You will behold God's Park in its ruined state, tainted by the evil forces. Now it's up to us to restore it to its former glory. Let's go through the navigational flow to learn how to restore each ruined location in God's Park. We're in one of the ruined locations. Select a storybook for that location. Then select an activity to start. Oh, wow! One storybook has 10 different activities for us to complete. This includes the Bible Hub and Catechetica, which showcase animated videos that bring Bible stories to life. The Catholic Goodies and Treats and Saintly Practices, which are interactive texts that engage you to listen and read while looking for jiggling words that generate hidden passwords. Correct passwords lead you to another fun task. Discover and complete the Christian message. Having passed that, you're now ready to level up to the next activity. 4 different mini-games where pop-up questions are immersed in the game platform itself. Gone were the days of boring straight-up Q&As and catechism classes. Here the kids learn while playing. And the mission adventures and church life, where mission tasks are lined up for offline, hands-on application. This means you level up in the game by doing concrete activities and face-to-face engagements outside of your device. Once a mission is completed, you hand over your device to mom or dad or the catechist for validation, certifying that you've accomplished the mission. You're set to go. Finishing these 10 activities completes one storybook. And once all 3 storybooks for a specific location are completed, the ruined location will then be fully restored to its former glory and grandeur, thanks to your mighty catechesis. Here it gets even more exciting. You are able to unlock a sacred gizmo, which is needed for the future boss game. And there's an Ichthus badge, too, to commemorate a job well done. You've come full circle in the God's Park Catechetical Lab. Now you're ready for the long-awaited boot camp, the gamified assessment platform that measures retention, understanding, and learning levels in catechesis. Dashboards are handy to view our scores, badges, as well as other achievement measures. There's more fun at God's Park than you could ever imagine while learning in faith. Want to learn more about God's Park? Visit God's Park at www.godspark.world.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nelly and Ma'am Cherrie, for your very insightful segments. And thank you very much as well to our sponsors, Tech Factors and the Private Education Assistance Committee, or PEAC. We now welcome everyone to the question and answer portion of this webinar. Before we proceed, may I just remind you again that you will receive your certificate of attendance only upon completion of the evaluation form. The link is already posted in the comments section of this page and on our Facebook page. Again, please note that the link will be live only from 11:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. today. Please accomplish and submit the evaluation form, and you will receive your certificate of attendance within the next 3 to 5 days. Please also note that the PowerPoint slides of all webinars will be made available at the CEAP website, www.ceap.org.ph, ready for downloading. The materials of the past webinars are all there as well, and we will also upload the ones used today. So let us now begin our Q&A. Please allow me to start with reading some comments that have been said Oh, we would like to greet Monsignor Mike Veneracion, the CEAP PCSF Commission Chairperson. Greetings from Cabanatuan City, Monsignor Mike. And allow me to read from YouTube and Facebook from Ginalyn Mariscal Potestas. Thank you so much for this informative and enriching talk. Doc Nelly, I am enlightened while listening to you. I was able to reflect also on my roles, not just as a mentor, but as a parent too. Thank you so much po and God bless. From Marilu De Leon, Kinaadman, it's true. Not just recognize, magnify, and focus on their academic achievements, especially for them to be on top. She's referring to our students. Daisy May Alecto said, finding kids comfort is also respecting their sense of privacy. Joanne Malareap said, I really believe that space for learning and home will really help to encourage them to study their own learning space. I think that's what Ma'am Joan was saying. Anna Marie Lerma said, I understand what you're saying. We really have to be honest that we all need help. This is the time to help each other, rich or poor, professional or not, man or woman. We have to support each other to remain mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually okay. There's nothing to be ashamed of when we ask for help. It's all right and offer help. Remain safe and connected. Be willing to listen, even online. Thank you, ma'am. Maria Bernadette Amande said, yes, that's true. It's very important to listen and let our children feel emotionally that we are present and mindful to their needs. Anna Marie Lerma also said, affirmation should be given often. Let the children feel that they are capable of achieving and becoming successful in life. Never say negative words because negative words stay in the heart forever. Remember that you cannot take back what you already said. Thank you so much for the affirmations posted on our YouTube and our Facebook channels. We'd also like to read other comments that have been posted and some greetings as well. So from Joseph Hermitanio, good day to all. I'm Joseph Hermitanio from Icon School, Magsaysay, Alicia Isabella. Hello to everyone in Isabella. Jomel Cabasal, a blessed Friday morning to everyone watching from Magsaysay Memorial College of Zambales, Inc. Nanette Cuervo, good morning. Greetings from Sisters of Mary Immaculate School in Laguna. Ray Antixi Villaflor Lilagan said, peace and all good, watching from Our Lady of the Pilar College, Kawayan City, Isabela Region 2. Good morning to you all. Josephine Bukayong, good morning. Josephine and Bukayong, Marinol School of Maniki. And then we have Glenny Quisido. Good morning, everyone, from Santa Monica Academy, AR of Pinamungahan, Cebu, Inc. Then Regina Ruiz and Sumo, good morning, watching from St. Teresita's High School of Pinakpok, Kalinga. Good morning to you. Chris Marquez, good morning, watching from St. Mary's College of Bansalan, Inc. Then we have Mas Alesh. Good morning po, watching from Our Lady of the Pilar College, Kawan Elementary Department. Juliet Nacional Natinga, maayong buntag, from Santa Monica Academy, AR of Pinamungahan, Cebu, Inc. Michael Chato Abelinosa, good morning, watching from Notre Dame of Glan, Inc., Sarangani. TJ Barahama, watching from Marinol School of Santo Tomas, Davao del Norte. Nympha de la Cruz, good morning, watching from Sisters of Mary Immaculate School, San Pedro City, Laguna. Good morning to you all. Dreddil Betaizar, hello, a blessed morning to all from PMS Clarion, Bohol. Filipinas El Bognot, good morning, watching from Angeles City. Hi Ray Braganza Lombiso, good morning po, watching from Assumpta School of Tagum, Inc. Then we have Aiza Ror Andan, good morning, watching from Academia de Nuestra Senora, Inc. of Ronda, Cebu. Emian Andoke, good morning everyone, watching from Pilar High School, Mindanao. So we really have viewers from all over the country. From Ola Guidance, good morning, watching from Atimonan, Quezon. Max Dane, watching and listening here in St. Dominic Savio School, Lapu-Lapu City. Michelle Carcasona, good morning everyone, watching with you from FSUU, Butuan City. Anthonius Federicos, good day from the Holy Rosary Minor Seminary, Junior and Senior High School. Josephine Ativo, good morning, joining from Consolatrix College of Toledo City. Elisa Gulmatico, blessed morning po, watching from the Notre Dame of Isulan Inc. Aileen Okmer Hesalva, good morning from San Fernando National High School, Santo Domingo, Albay. Juvelin Abinyon Galope, good morning everyone, watching from Limbadan Academy Foundation Inc. So it's so nice to see that we have a lot of our friends joining us from various locations. Happy that our internet connection is doing well today, so we can all feel connected this morning. All right, so maybe we can take a look at a few questions for Dr. Nelly and Ms. Cherrie that have also been posted. So we'll look at Rodora Tabamo, who is asking, based on our consolidated subject survey, we have found that there were some struggling students. So how can we improve these struggling students during this modular learning? Would Dr. Nelly or Ma'am Cherrie like to give their inputs? So there are some struggling students, according to Rodora Tabamo.
May I go ahead?
Go ahead,
Go
ma'am.
ahead, Dr. Nelly.
Right. The good thing is that you have that data. You have an evidence base. You are informed. And therefore, go back to that po. Gamitin natin. So, they're struggling. Ang tanong ngayon, ano yung mga bagay that are in that struggles? Ito bang delivery of that module, ang pagsagot, ang return, ang turnaround time, o mahirap ang tanong, or it's just I cannot understand how the questions are framed, something like that. So we have to identify ano yung mga struggles nila, and from there we also give a tailored fit sagot sa mga struggles nila. Because right now po, salamat sa tanong, no? Kasi tanong din yan ng maraming mga teachers natin. Iba-iba po kasi yung background, yung context. So go back to your data, get to the bottom of it. And then
That's right.
I'm sure meron silang mga suggestions doon. And then you respond to that.
Right.
Chrissy?
Thank you, Dr. Nelly. Ma'am Cherrie, would you like to give your inputs as well?
Yes, I guess, Ma'am Chrissy, no, for in that context, we will just go back to what we have emphasized earlier ni Doc Nelly, the communication, and that could be already a good way to give feedback to the school or to the teachers about the module, so they could be able to, make some adjustments if needed, and, be able to help for them to be able to do some corrections kung meron man in the near future, So I guess that one thing's very important is we have to be really decisive and deliberate na, okay, I don't understand this and it's okay, I will be asking help, in such a way that if we give a better understanding for our kids, sila rin, they will get clarity, no, of how to do things. But I guess one of the things that's very important there is giving feedback.
That's right. Thank you, Ma'am Cherrie and Dr. Nelly. I agree with you, though. We have to find out where exactly these students are struggling, because could it be adjusting to the LMS? Could it be their schedule, perhaps? So as you said, communication and feedback is very important in order to answer this particular question. So I hope Ma'am Rodora Tabamo can go back to the data that has been collected and maybe probe a little bit deeper. I think that's the key to answering that. Thank you very much. So from Ginalyn Mariscal Potestas, what are we going to do with parents who are not that responsive to our calls or invitations? So maybe in this scenario, the school is already trying to reach out, but the parents are not responsive. Maybe Ma'am Cherrie, would you like to go first?
I know that it's really a challenge, and first is, what is the school's policy on that? Number 2 is, siguro teachers, please be more understanding and patient also, because we know that most of the parents are really working from home. So probably one message or one email could not be enough. So I guess it must be very important also for the school to have really a structure or a system or a guidelines on how much you have to communicate or follow up, no? Ako, if you would ask me, I do have the tendency that I receive the email, but because I was doing something, okay, later ko na siya titignan until it,
Yes.
until it slipped my mind already, no?
Mhm.
And it will take some time for me to go back, and I really have to, to take time na, okay, I'm dropping some things and then go back to my email. But for other parents who might be doing a lot of things, baka hindi ganun yung scenario. So I guess, a follow-up through different medium, let's all take advantage of the different means of communication right now, the email, the messenger, the Viber, or the Google, what the Google yung messaging app nila, no? So things
Yes.
like that.
The
And even
apps.
the email, no? But please do not give up immediately, teachers, because let's be more understanding to the parents also.
That's right. That's right. I know the feeling na tatabunan yung email sa sobrang dami. No, it's
Right.
very difficult to keep track of everything. Dr. Nelly, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I agree with Miss Cherrie there. Pero kahit teacher man or parents or to all of us are watching, if you believe on what you do, persist. One try, second, third, fourth. Now, if that's really an important thing for you to be talking to the parent and their participation, don't give up because and I'm sure they will spend time na parang, di ba, ganito yon. Ang kulit na ni teacher. Sige na nga. Ganon. I tell you, that works. But at some point, you have to stop as well. Hindi din pwedeng, kasi I'm sure there are other programs.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Dr. Nelly. On a related note, I would just like to jump to the question of Mary Grace Lozada. What about dealing with difficult parents? So it's not just a matter of reaching the parents, but you were able to connect with them already, but it's a little bit difficult to deal with them. So how do we deal with difficult parents?
Sige, on the teachers or administrator side, no? Maybe
Go ahead, Doc.
remove the labeling of difficult parents. Let's just go back to how do you deal with parents? Because whether they are difficult or easy or calm or reassuring or what, just talk to them. We are the
That's
service
right.
provider. And therefore, di ba, ano yung concept sa isang service provider? Right? The customer, the clients, may mga irate clients. And they're clients, and therefore we have to respond to them. And so, siguro it's high time na, difficult itong parent na ito. So, kausapin. And from there, sabi ni Ms. Cherrie kanina, kung ano yung sagot nung kausap mo, bank on that. And we give that time na binigyan ako ng panahon ng school. That's already something for me na as a parent, I matter pala. Yun.
That's right. Sometimes the word difficult is the barrier that prevents us from moving forward. Ano po?
Right.
Cherrie?
Yeah. Siguro in this context, Miss Chrissy, I will be speaking and using the hat of a mental health professional, no?
Mhm.
Na, 'di ba, we always have to understand where the other person is coming from.
That's
'Di
right.
ba? And if being ako kasi I've been a teacher also in college for 5 years, but yung our training, and of course I need the parents to understand also, no, and the teachers, na whatever behavior we have and how we are actually manifesting that, it has something to do with what's going on, 'di ba? Our experiences, our own pinagdadaanan, our own hugots, 'di ba? So doon papasok yung extra understanding again and patience na bakit ganito tong parent na to? Bakit ganito tong nanay na to or tatay na to, no? So where is this person coming from? Ano ang pinagdadaanan nito? Because on the surface baka nakikita lang natin na overwhelmed, but beyond being overwhelmed, there could be some financial struggle, some relationship strains, and they don't even know how to handle that, no? So I guess yun po, no, it's really, of course, it takes a lot of patience, and sanay naman po kayo dyan, mga teachers, I'm sure. Pero it's really about, I'd like to understand where this person is coming from. And again, going back to the listening and communication, how we are doing it with our kids, it's the same thing on how we could be able to deal with other parents.
That's right, Ma'am Cherrie. Thank you for that. And thank you, Doc Nelly. I think that's related to the question of Joe_chef_pre. Doc and Ma'am, any tips for for teachers if in the event parents are not that cooperative when it comes to addressing the concerns of their child. Perhaps nga, no, may concern sa bahay, may pinagdadaanan. It's not the same, rate of adjustment to our life now in the pandemic. So we also have to understand where the parents are coming from. Ano po?
Yes.
Right.
Go ahead, Doc Nelly.
Tips for teachers, no? Whether you're a teacher kasi or a parent, no? Lahat tayo, even before pandemic, marami tayong pinagdadaanan, and therefore, kung hindi man sila sumasagot or nahihirapan at the start, no? Persist pa rin, yun pa rin, balik pa rin ako doon sa umalik ka, anong mission mo at vision mo, bakit ka nandyan? Kasi 'di ba, if at the start may mga ganitong struggles or issues na parang ano pa ang gagawin ko as a teacher, maybe whatever you've been doing that worked before, more of that in the Jesuit language, sabi namin dyan, would be magis, no? The more of it. And stick to what really is your mission, no? Well, it takes a lot of patience. Ikaw din, mababurn out ka din. As a teacher, marami kang, pero balik ka lang doon. Why are you in industry after all? Sure, you get tired. Sure, you get burned out. But step back a little. May ginawa ko as a teacher, it did not work. Baka meron pa. And then, give it some time. Give it some time. And ask for help. Hindi lang naman yan ikaw. You have a person who you report to. So, the counsel. I think this is the high time. It's not just our job. Chris?
Thank you. Thank you for that, ma'am. This question I'd like to send to Ma'am Cherrie. What if a parent's style of coaching is coercing the child to be competitive? So the parent wants the child to excel and maybe get all perfect scores or maybe be at the top of the class. So what do we say to that, Ma'am Cherrie?
It's actually not a coaching, Ma'am Chrissy, in the first place, no? Because at the end, coaching is all about making the child realize his or her potential, and you capitalize on that strength. Ako, we always have to go back being a parent. Bakit ko gusto to sa anak ko? Is it because I wanted it for my child, or is because my child wanted it for herself or himself? No, that's very that's something that we really have to contemplate. Kasi this is usual that we heard in the school of parents, so the school for parents namin, na pag nagkakaroon ng dialogue in the coaching session with the parents, laging lumalabas po yung because the parent has become frustrated in some aspects growing up, or I am a frustrated doctor, I am a frustrated engineer, and I wanted my child to be like that and all. So again, parents, no, tayo po maiksi lang ang buhay natin, and the last thing that we wanted to do is leave this earth thinking about bakit hindi masaya ang anak ko. No? So it is one of our goal is to live and help our kids to be able to become prepared in their life, not just because they have the skills, but because that's what they wanted, no, and that's how they wanted their life to live, no, na mabubuhay sila because they wanted it. And at the end of the day, yun ang gusto natin na makitang masaya ang mga anak natin. So it's not about what we want for them, but it's what they want for themselves. And our role as parents is to be there to support them, to encourage them, because we are the ones who should believing na I know my child is talented, my child is intelligent, and they can succeed in life.
That's right. That's right. We have to be careful about what message the children are receiving, no, by the push sometimes. Thank you for that, Ma'am Cherrie. Dr. Nelly, maybe from the perspective of psychology, there's a question here from Riza Mingoy Padasas. She was saying, thank you, for the tips. Can these be applied to a child who is in primary level or 6 to 9 years old? How can we bring out their emotions and ideas if they are not that communicative? Maybe you can give some tips here, Doc Nelly.
Right. Because I focused on Albert who is in the middle childhood, parang andun na tayo sa maka-express na nung kanyang nararamdaman. But yes, you're right. No, throughout the developmental stages of a person, there are different ways where we can improve their emotional literacy. So maybe if you're online now, you can search for SEL. Yun po yung ginagawa, especially focus ngayong pandemic. SEL will be the social-emotional learning. Marami tayong modules dyan na naka-step by step siya na kung ganito ang age level, ganito ang grade, etc. There are specific activities, there are specific questions na pwedeng gawaan ng module ng mga teachers para matranslate into a lesson or what, pwede siyang magiging guide for us. So certainly there are actions, there are steps where we can improve emotional literacy of every or everybody for that matter.
Thank you for that, Ma'am Nelly. Okay, so before we move on to our special sharer for this afternoon, I'd just like to bring to the table a couple of questions regarding privacy this time. From PJ Barahama. PJ Baharama. Do parents have the right to invade their child's privacy?
Again, ako, no, it's very important, no, it's a sign of respect for our children, and you would be surprised that as early as 8 years old, 9 years old, no, kids know already na this is my safe space, this is my, I need my time alone and all those things. And that's why it's very important. By the way, parents, no, hindi ko lang siya isinama, but one of the skills of coaching is to actually ask permission. No, and I guess asking permission is something very important, relevant in any kind of relationship. It's part of the foundation of trust. Kasi if we parents will just, impose authority. No, I'm the parent. I could go inside your bedroom anytime, no? And the trust will be broken. And remember that the foundation of our relationship is trust. So how could a child trust us if we could just, impose our authority? And it's very important in any relationship, no? That's why asking permission is very important. Ako, even my daughter, kapag naka-close yung door niya, I have to knock, like, are you busy? Can we talk? Or things like that. Or, even borrowing her phone, no? Kahit sabihin na ako ang bumili ng phone mo, may karapatan ako dyan. No, it's not like that. I have to ask, anak, can I check your phone? Can I borrow your phone? And things like that. Asking permission is very important because it gives them, the feeling that I am being valued, I am being respected and honored also at the same time.
As a whole person as well.
Right.
Dr. Nelly, would you like to weigh in on that also?
No, there's nothing much that I want to say. Agree ako doon. Ask for permission. Yeah.
Thank you. Now from Joyce Basilio, how then do we promote vigilance? Now, if a child mentions privacy as a reason, so how can we help teachers and parents know that it's okay to check, or it's okay to ask the child if they can check maybe the gadget, maybe read, check on the messages, for example. How do we balance being vigilant and monitoring the children while also respecting their right to privacy? Dr. Nell.
Ms. Chet, may I go ahead, ha?
Go ahead.
And I'd like you to also really back me up on that, being parent. The issue of privacy is not a singular, separate issue of the entire family communication. There is communication from the very beginning. Saan nanggagaling or saan nagsisimula? Dining table. If there has been communication and talking sa mga simpleng bagay na ganyan, there will be parang transition na okay, I can talk to my children about privacy or anything for that matter. Hindi lang siya, okay, 11 years old na si Albert, dapat I will be on my toes about privacy. Dapat hindi ko mga ganon. So it starts from the very beginning. So yun yung gusto kong Miss Cherrie would follow up, because this is also what you were advocating from the very beginning, Miss Che.
Yeah. Ako, Miss Chrissy, no, and to all the parents, it's very important when it comes to that, na yung laying of the rules in the home, not the rules are being established not just by the parents themselves. Because I am a parent and I am in authority, I set the rules, no? Kami, lagi po namin tinuturo in the school for parents, when you set rules, kahit maliit pa yung bata, you encourage them to be part of creating the rules, no? So like for example, in my case, I bought the phone for my daughter. Okay, anak, I will allow you. She was already 15 years old when she got her first phone, and it was needed already kasi nagko-commute na siya. She started commuting, no? So it was very important, anak, sige, you requested for phone and we know that's very important, but this is my take on this, no? I will allow you to use the phone, but of course, if I could ask, again, asking permission, is it okay that if I will be checking your phone once in a while? So kung alam mo yon, yung feeling ng bata na I am being asked, I am being involved in the process of creating the rules. Kasi if we will just try to impose it, they will have the thinking, so okay, I just have to follow. So ano pa ang role ko? Ay bilang anak, just to follow? Pero of course, we are trying to empower them na you are involved in this, we have to agree, and what are the consequences if you will not follow the rules, no? I guess yun yung very important na sinasabi nga ni Miss Nelly at the very beginning, no? Because of course, kapag hindi yun na-set, children will create their own rules. That's what will happen. If we will not create rules with them, they will create their own rules. And if they started creating their own rules, tayo rin po ang mahihirapan as parents. Yeah. Yun po. And of course, when we set rules, it's very important that we are consistent in, implementing and monitoring that rules. Kasi very, very easy to create rules. Pero how do we make sure that it's being, followed is another thing, no? Another aspect.
Yes. Children need consistency. Yes. Okay. So with that, we'd like to pause first from reading the questions in our YouTube and Facebook feeds. Because to enrich our session this morning, we're also very happy to have with us a sharer from the Diocese of Cubao Educational System under Father Raymond Are. And I believe he's watching right now. Good morning, Father Raymond. Okay, our sharer this morning is Mrs. Maria Esther Monteverde, and she is the Student Services Head of Immaculate Conception Cathedral School. Welcome, Mrs. Monteverde, or Ma'am Kit. Ma'am Kit, would you like to briefly share with us some of the programs and practices of the Diocese of Cubao Educational System that has to do with home and school partnership in child protection? Please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, so good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here to be part of this webinar activity of CEAP. So this morning, I will be sharing some of the programs, services that we do in DOTCHES. DOTCHES stands for Diocese of Cubao Educational System and is composed of 6 schools. So sharing of programs and ensuring our duty in child protection in this time of distance learning, as this program are in partnership with home and school. So as the country is facing COVID-19 pandemic and due to the closure of churches, many students and parents find themselves in a heightened state of mental and spiritual distress. So relate po ba tayong lahat, mga viewers? Nakakaramdam po ba tayo ng ganitong mga pakiramdam since last year pa po? And with that, we come up with a Reconnection Week. So it's entitled Bouncing Back Through Faith and Wellness. Yes, it is faith and wellness. So it's in collaboration with the CCF. So the Reconnection Week is a 5-day orientation program done during the first week of classes in partnership with CCF. So it is with assigned theme per day. So it's Take Off Monday for Monday, Mindfulness Tuesday, Wellness Wednesday, Coping Thursday, and Resilient Friday, side by side with the spiritual health care activities by the CCF make up our Reconnection Week. So the primary objective of The primary objective of this program is to prepare students physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Activities such as draw your feelings, color your feelings, my emotions worksheets, breathing and tapping exercises, body prayer, storytelling about Jesus, and among others, were introduced to our students before opening of classes. These activities were help promote resiliency, mental fortitude, healthy self-expression, and spiritual connectedness. And truth be told, we got a very good feedback from our students and parents on these activities. Parents also attended the reconnection together with their children. So such reconnection week now becomes a very good prelude activity as the academic classes begin. And as we open ourselves to offer an invitation and have a preliminary check-ins on our students' mental well-being, a venue of virtual conference if they want to talk to us from the school or from the student student development coaches, a mental wellness monitoring form were floated to our students during the Reconnection Week. It was introduced also to our parents. Next program that we have in Doches is the online information drive. So it is a regular social media postings through FB page and SDC Google Classroom or the Student Development Center Google Classrooms to promote mental health during the COVID-19 pandemic through helpful tips and ideas. So basically, these are infographics of motivational quotes on mental health and emotional wellness. So postings are done thrice a week. So every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Then other than the online info drive, we also created an SDC Google site. So it is a web page where students, parents, and teachers can easily access various mental health resources collated by the student development coaches. So it is a compilation of different wellness resources such as mindfulness, visual relaxation, coloring and creativity, games and puzzles, and feel-good videos where students and parents, as well as teachers, can follow along or do at home. So, ang sinasabi namin sa aming mga estudyante, pag feeling stress na sila, kasi po as early as grade 1, alam na po nila ang term na stress. So, hindi ko po alam kung talaga po bang alam po nila ang ibig sabihin ng stress o yun na po kasi ang naririnig sa atin, sa ating mga parents, sa ating mga magulang. So, sa nakapalibot doon sa batang yon, so pakiramdam niya is very normal na yung word na stress. So pag ini-introduce namin ito sa aming mga estudyante and also to the teachers, pwede po din gamitin ng mga teachers yung aming mga resources dito before start of their classes. Siguro, like for example, yung visual relaxation, so malaking tulong po bago mag-start ang kanilang mga classes. Then the Duchess also implements online birthday greetings. So prior po ng pandemic, meron na din po kaming birthday greetings. So it's a form of token like flat tops. Kung medyo mababa ang budget, flat tops, chocolate, or pen. So since DLP po kami, so mas na-appreciate po ng mga high school students namin yung ball pen. Magagamit nila sa kanilang pagsulat. So dahil nagka-pandemic, so syempre na-ship po yung aming token sa email na lang. So yung form ng aming pag-greet sa kanila during their birthdays through personal emails of birthday card and regular online post through video presentation in FB page and in our Google Classroom. Then in return, greeted students express their feel-good gratitude by sending also email. So nagre-reply po sila sa amin, thanking us for doing said gesture. So maganda rin po kasi kahit po pandemic, sabi nila nare-remember pa rin po sila ng school na that particular day is their birthday. And then of course, we have also the psychological first aid or the referral service. So it's a service accessible to students both online and offline for personal, academic, and of course, for emotional concerns. So this will help nurture student well-being by providing a safe space to discuss personal concerns and issues in a supportive virtual environment. So medyo dito lang po kami nagkakaroon ng konting problema kasi meron pong mga unresponsive students na hindi sinasagot yung aming mga tawag. So later on po, i-discuss ko kung ano po yung paano namin po ina-address na makausap po namin yung batang iyon. Bata or yung mga students na they are being referred to by the teachers and by their advisors. So to ensure that we are accountable, we ask first for parental consent before we do the psychological first aid. And this is following, of course, the Data Privacy Act, especially they are minors. So dyan po kami nagkakaroon ng problema na before we do, we need the consent of their parents. And then I would like to share also that DOCHES is implementing Every Teacher is a Guidance Counselor program. So our teachers undergone seminars, trainings prior to pandemic on basic counseling and psychological first aid to equip in the new trends and techniques in conducting basic counseling or the PFA. And the conduct of group guidance program. So ito po naman ay kayang gawin sa online. Then it's a periodic meetings with each class or level, particularly to talk about topics relevant to mental wellness and for personal and academic growth. Activities to help improve socio-emotional health through resiliency and novel coping ideas and strategies. Then to monitor student behavior and progress and to evaluate if the intervention is successful, a follow-up service is being done by the student development coaches. And of course, this is in coordination with the teachers and the administrator, especially the principal. And now, to also address the needs of our students, online or virtual conferences with teacher, student development coach, and parents is also being implemented across DOCHES. So, ano po ito, parang collaborative effort po ito ng tatlong grupo, yung group of teacher, the student development coaches, and also the parents. So happy po kami pag yung parent po namin is or are very cooperative. Though some are not, meron din po kaming na i-encounter na merong medyo hindi sumasagot din po sa aming mga emails. And lastly, home visitation. Sabi nila, mahirap gawin ang home visitation, pero in DOCHES, kahit po pandemic, so we do home visitations. So it's a service employed to student cases that need urgent attention, usually conducted to unresponsive absentee students and who has shown inability to submit schoolwork and among others. Of course, home visits abide by government-mandated protection, guidelines, and hygiene protocols. So home visits were conducted upon the request of parent or teachers or the advisors for better discussion of the issues and concerns of the students and also their children. And these are some programs that we do in DOCHES. Sana po may napulot kayo sa aming mga programang pinapatupad. And allow me po, let me close my sharing. Connecting home and school makes us a great community of learners. That's all, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Kit, for your sharing about what you do in the community. Ma'am Cherrie, Ms. Kit mentioned a website where students and parents can follow up activities at home. And I noticed that Nelly Z posed a question that many of our parents are working during the day and children are just left to their yayas or lolas. So with regard to their ODL, they lack follow-ups and encouragement, and sometimes they have difficulty in finding support. So how can parents help them? Because this sometimes leads to non-submission of requirements. Students are not able to keep up with schoolwork, and when we gave home visits, according to Ma'am Nelly Z, there was really no one to talk to at the home. So what's your take on that, ma'am?
Okay. As for me, Ma'am Chrissy, no, being a parent, it's really being deliberate about it, no. Because again, going back, no, what is really important, especially at this time. Ako, I just have to mention that there was a time that I needed to let go some of the projects and work, no, to be able to focus. Kasi alam ko naman that if I invest in my time, it's not going to be forever, and it's part of it's an investment. It's not really a waste of time. So we have to be decisive about that, no. And I know that if I will invest my time with my daughter who's struggling, I know that she will be able to, of course, number one, realize that I am there for her. Number two, she will be able to get the hang of it in such a way na makuha rin niya yung momentum. And of course, number three is it's my way of letting her know na I am with you. I am journeying with you. Whatever you are going through, you are not alone. Yes, it's difficult, but you don't have to think na you are not being, you are not being given attention, or you are being neglected during this time. What worked for us is that I really have to sit down, no? Again, it's a deliberate thing to do na, anak, we have to talk, sit down, let's sit down. What are the things that you have in terms of backlogs? Okay? And then let's see the schedule. Talagang kailangan ayusin. It's like really planning, no? Even if you are planning for your work, you have to do it also and help your child, no? And then of course, and then I would have to ask, okay, so what are the things that needs to be done immediately, that needs to be submitted immediately? What are the support that you need to be able to get that? What do you need from me to be able for you to, to get out of, difficult times? So it's really being involved. It's really a decision, being deliberate na, because at the end of the day, what's more important for me is my daughter, you know. And kako lagi ko pong ang naging nasa isip ko is there's no, the failure of my daughter will not compensate any success that I would have in the future. So might as well give my all to my daughter.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ma'am Cherrie. Ma'am Kit, did you encounter any issues or problems when you try to conduct your home visits in your community? And how did you go about addressing those issues?
Yes, we do. We encountered some problems, especially pandemic per se is a challenge to us.
Yes,
And
getting around.
yes po, and then several instances of repeated referrals on absenteeism. So medyo hirap po kami doon, as mentioned a while ago, na no replies in email, text, chat, walang hindi sumasagot si parent, hindi sumasagot si student, and only to find out na mali po yung aming number na tinatawagan. So
Okay, yes.
so it's important to
That
really
happens.
update the contact details submitted by the parents. Siguro dapat kasi paminsan po may mga students kami, especially in the high school, na minamali. I don't know kung talaga bang minamali nila yung number. Kasi pag nag-refer po si teacher sa amin ng absenteeism, ganito po, hindi na pumapasok, ilang days na po hindi pumapasok. So iti-text namin sila, i-refer sa amin sa Student Development Center, referred by the principal. Kahit principal po namin nagre-refer na sa amin, siguro sa meetings po nila na lumalabas po na itong batang ito ay pala absent. And then, as mentioned nga po, hindi nagre-reply, and then ang last recourse po namin is do the home visitation. Kung hindi pa po nila, kung hindi pa po naniniwala yung bata na magkakanda kami ng home visitation, kasi meron din pong ibang bata na ite-text namin na, pag hindi ka pa pumasok, so might as well na pupunta ako dyan. So meron din pong sinasabi ko, kasama ko ang principal namin, dalawa kami pupunta dyan. So parang yung iba nadadala po sa ganon, na siguro natatakot na puntahan namin yung bahay nila. Pero yung iba po talaga, we have to do the home visits. So only to find out na pag kinausap na namin yung parents, especially nung mami, so sasabihin namin, mami, yung anak niyo po ay ilang beses na pong nag-absent. So they were shocked. Na-shock sila kasi ang sabi nila, how come na nag-absent? Araw-araw naka-uniform. Araw-araw nasa harap ng laptop. Sabi ko, mami, alam niyo po ba kung ano ginagawa niya sa laptop? So ang sabi naman ni mami, ipinapaalis daw siya. Yun nga po yung about doon sa kanina pinag-uusapan natin. So pinapaalis siya. So medyo hindi po maganda siguro yung mga may sariling kwarto. Although need po rin naman talaga ng privacy during the online classes. Kaya lang sa mga na-encounter naming problem, so hindi alam ng parent kung ano yung ginagawa ng kanilang anak. Only to find out pag meron na pong nagbisita sa kanila from the school, na nalalaman nila na hindi naman pala umaattend ng klase. Doon naka-uniform. So one time din po, meron kaming naabutan tulog. So hindi daw po alam ni mommy o ni daddy yung schedule ng kanilang mga anak. So tulog yung bata nung inabutan namin. So syempre nagulantang yung bata and daan sa pakiusap na tapusin yung school year para na rin po sa kanila na din. Syempre, sayang yung panahon, sayang yung effort ng bata. So, yung iba naman is nadadala naman po sa pakiusap.
I see. Thank you, Ma'am Kit, for that sharing. Minsan kasi akala ng parents pumapasok, no? Akala
Yes
ng
po.
parents attending online classes, yun pala hindi. So, kailangan pa rin yung strong communication between the parent and the child. Doc Nelly, I was wondering if you'd like to weigh in on this as well, and also to relate it to a question posted by Yusek M. Khan, how to handle a parent who will blame a teacher for not reminding him, even after all means of communication were done to remind the parents and students about submissions of schoolwork. Go ahead, Doc Nelly.
Yeah, let's just go back muna to the first question here, that was answered. Na, ma'am and sir, as parents, alam ko, nagtatrabaho din tayo and, we also have our own concerns. Gusto isingit, yung concept of work-life integration. Dati po, ang sabi ng literature, work-life balance. But because imposible na mabalanse yung life, because that means 50-50%, medyo ang bagong pag-isip dyan ngayon, i-integrate natin. Which means that wherever you are, you're at work, I'm sure sa 8 hours na yan, merong konting window. And that's the time we follow up. Huwag hintayin na we will be at home. Because by then, yun na nga, nasabi na kanina ni Ms. Kit saka ni Ms. Cherrie. So kaya Ms. Chris, yung tanong, yung bago lang, what to do with, what
when
is that?
A parent blames the teacher already for not reminding or giving enough reminders.
Yeah. Kasi diba, hindi lang ito for teachers and parents. It's a human experience na pag may not so good thing, unpleasant, parang the next thing to do is look for someone to blame so that hindi ako, para hindi, hindi papasa sa akin. We therefore, again, increase our patience and understanding. They want some questions to be answered, sagutin natin. Natin and yun, and provide them with all the access. Yung kanina na na-share na like sa where I'm from, my school now, yung meron silang virtual area na lahat kayo andun. So you can actually track. So yung ganon, give the parents access also to what your children are doing. Yan.
Thank you, Doc Nelly. There's a thought posted here, thoughts by Peter Pan. When is an action from a teacher be considered too little, too late? No, but if the parent is also not cooperative at the onset, so I guess we also touched a little about that to answer this question. Patience and understanding is also needed because we're all experiencing different situations right now. We don't know the situation of everyone at home, so there could be multiple factors. Ano po? Why the parents seemingly are not cooperative or are seemingly difficult to contact. There are questions here asking for more concrete strategies or more specific actions. So Geraldine Acorda Vergara is asking what concrete ways could be done if parents are not cooperative. And Theresia Bonzel asks, what effective strategy have you employed to increase parent attendance in PTA meetings? So for both normal face-to-face context and Zoom meetings. So I guess no, there's really a desire for the schools to get parents more involved. So maybe I can ask, I'll go first to Ma'am Kit. Maybe you have insights from your experience, and then we'll go to Ma'am Cherrie, maybe from the perspective of parents. What are some things that you think will work that the school can do? So Ma'am Kit, what concrete ways can be done to encourage parents to participate more?
Before the pandemic, we encourage parents to attend in our meetings and assemblies. So sometimes po, ang ginagawa namin kasi talagang nasa record na po namin when we conduct the parents orientation. So it's around 30% of the total population talaga ang dumadating lang. So kahit i-schedule namin sila ng Saturday, ang rason, family time or merong appointment. Pag in-schedule naman ng weekdays, ang sagot naman is, what do you call this, meron silang work. So, to encourage them siguro na mag-attend sa aming class, sa aming meetings. So, sometimes we do parenting seminar first before the release of the card or the giving out of the card. So, para ma-encourage nilang umattend sila, especially ang topic, halimbawa, yung napapanahong topic para sa ating mga magulang. So, nung ginawa namin yon, so medyo nag-increase yung aming mga attendees na parents. And other than that, in coordination with the academics or with the principal, meron kaming mga strategy na attend si parent plus points sa ganitong subject. So, for example, kung ano yung topic namin, so kung anong related na subject, related dun sa topic na ibibigay ng speaker, so doon kami kukuha ng points. So, syempre takot po yung mga parent, ay yung mga bata na hindi umattend si mommy, hindi umattend si daddy. So, nai-encourage namin silang pumunta sa school to attend the seminar.
I see. And this is an agreement that you have with all the schools in the DOSES system, Ma'am Kit.
Yes po.
So it's really
yes,
a coordinated effort, not just of one school, but of your system of schools. And I guess that in itself is already a best practice. Ano po? Kasi the schools are communicating with each other and having a collective effort. Thank you for that. Ma'am Cherrie, you want to weigh in po?
Ako po siguro, Ma'am Chrissy, no, being a parent myself, what could be very important for me is that I would really appreciate that if teachers would be communicating to me, not just because there's a concern about my daughter or my child. I guess if I am the parent and gusto kong mas maging involved or gusto kong i-involve ako ng teachers, what could be very important and special for me is that they're taking time na, Mami, kamusta po si daughter? Kamusta po ang anak ninyo? Even without no major issues. And it's not, it would matter kasi it doesn't have to be like 30 minutes. It could be just 5 minutes, no? Na again, the point of yung being there, mas mahalaga sa akin yun na alam ko na hindi lang ako kakausapin dahil may problema. Kasi yun yung laging thinking even ng mga bata, di ba? Uy, bakit ka mag-guidance? Bakit ka mapupunta sa guidance? May ginawa kang mali, di ba?
May stigma po, opo.
We have to that also we have to correct that also, the mentality of, no, I just wanted to have conversation with you. Gusto ko kayong kamustahin. Kahit hindi po, siguro after kamustahin yung anak, gusto ko rin may kumamusta din sa akin bilang a parent, di ba? Or the teacher could be asking, how can we help more? How can we improve? Getting feedback and all those things. Tapos Miss Chrissy, another thing that actually that I hope that for some schools could be doing already, because with my daughter's school here in Saints Co Marikina, very active din yung mga parent-teacher yung mga members ng PTA, no?
Mhm.
So yung this is my experience, si advisor magsisend ng email, tapos walang sumasagot sa thread, si PTA officer would message in the Viber group na, parents, there's an email, please check your email, it might be very important, or it might be concerning your kids or your daughter, no? So I guess the support system that we have, again, raising, it takes a village, di ba? But it's very somehow, um it gives a good feeling that you are also being in touch with other parents, no? Even the email, oh, ikaw ba nakuha mo tong email na to? The teacher just sent an email about the graduation picture. Did you get it? Pag sabi, ay wala, o sige, I will send it to you. So we are, we are offering support to each other even if they're not asking it. Kasi hindi naman natin alam, baka they could be very busy talaga. So I guess that matters also and will help.
Thank you, thank you. Doc Nelly, I could see that you were smiling and nodding. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me be practical here. Real talk tayo, teachers. Don't write letters or communications na masyadong mahaba. Huwag niyo na ibigay yung introduction na the school is, etc. You already have that. So, di ba, ako si parent, may trabaho nga, di ba? Go to the point. What is it that you want? Right? That's number one. The messaging is important. Number two, huwag po natin gawing 3 hours yon ng buong umaga kung ano yung activity na yan. Pangatlo, gawin po nating I'm sorry, I have to say this, catchy, or sabi kasi ng mga communications strategists, sexy and catchy title. If you're talking about parenting seminar or something, don't put it there as parenting something. Diba? I don't want to go there. I have already attended. So, yung practical, then pang-apat siguro on the practical aspect, enrich the database. Get the number, probably may bagong number after a month, within the year. So, database, yung system ng parent, email, number, Viber, or whatever. So, yun, importante. Kasi di ba marami tayong iniisip, cognitive overload din po sa parents. Yung letter mo,
that's right.
That's so straightforward. You're needed, what time, thank you. Yung mga ganon. It matters to you.
Correct, Dr. Nelly, because they're already thinking of so many things. No, they're trying to make all the different related systems work together. I'd like to go back to Ma'am Kit. I hope you don't mind, because I know that there are many school administrators in attendance as well. So can we touch a little bit on how the DOSES system does the home visitation exactly? So how is that organized? How do you plan on which homes to visit? And who does the oversight? Since the DOSES is a system of schools, who does the overall planning and parang coordination for that?
Okay, so every DOSES school, so we as mentioned, we are 6 schools. So in 6 schools, we have the student services head manning the school. So yung student services head po, siya yung nag-oversee ng task ng home visitations. And then, of course, it is well coordinated with the principal sa line naman po ng academic. So ginagawa namin yung home visits pag yung estudyante namin is hindi na namin makontak, unresponsive, uncooperative. So that's the time na sasabihin ko sa aking mga kasamahan sa SDC, so let's do home visit. So pag yung teacher po ay free, though kasi nasa bahay sila nag-online classes, so most of the time, pag yung student is from other levels, so ako po ang nag-a-accompany sa kanila. Sinasamahan ko yung aking staff, yung aming staff, para po since yung aking pong mga kasamahan is medyo bata pa, so baka po pagpasok sa bahay ay, alam mo na po, meron tayong mga parents na, siyempre, unang kita mo pa lang, medyo nakakatakot na or what. So, kailangan po ng medyo matanda, medyo matandang kasama. So, sasamahan ko sila para din po yung discussion po namin, kung ano po yung mga dapat naming gawin, yung mga concerns nila, yung mga issues nila, kailangan namin i-share, i-address po as soon as possible, since the referral also is repeated na yung kanilang referrals. I-refer ng Monday until Wednesday, Friday, sila pa rin yung hindi pa pumapasok. So parang ganun po. As I mentioned a while ago po, ito po yung mga unresponsive and uncooperative na mga estudyante, kaya namin sila hino-home visit. Pero po kung nadadala naman po sila through online or the online virtual psychological first aid, so no need po for home visit. Pero yung mga hindi po na dadala sa magandang pakiusapan and kailangan na po talaga naming makausap si parent, baka din po hindi alam ng ating mga magulang kung ano po yung ginagawa ng kanilang mga anak. So yun po ang pinaka-best. Sa tingin po namin sa Dodges, ito po na yung best na ginagawa po ng school. Though it's pandemic, sabi ko nga po, it's very risky sa labas.
That's right.
But still, yun nga po, ano naman kami ng mga health protocol. So pupunta kami sa bahay. Paminsan po, nandun lang kami sa labas, sa gate. Hindi na kami pumapasok. But some parents also, pinapapasok kami, pinapamerienda pa kami doon. So, meron kaming estudyante na pabalik-balik na kami. So, parang ang hirap talaga. So, yung magulang na po ang nakikiusap kung ano po yung tulong na maibibigay pa ng school. So, we extend pa rin po hanggang sa dulo. Hanggang ngayon, ini-extend pa po namin yung aming mga consideration in terms sa academics po. Inihintay pa rin po namin kung yung kanilang dapat na ipasa. So, of course, it is also in coordination with the teachers or with the advisor.
I see, Ma'am Kit. Ma'am Cherrie, can you put yourself in the shoes of a parent who is receiving a home visit? What would be, the ideal response to that? Kunyari, you don't see it coming, all of a sudden the teacher's there at the gate, nagda-doorbell na pala. So if you were a parent, no, what would be the nice way to go about it, the proper way to go about it? What do you think?
Yes, ako siguro at first I will be shocked, no, but again, coming from the concept and context, okay, they're doing this for my daughter. So I guess ako personally, I will be more appreciative. Although it's unannounced, let's say, no, it's unannounced, but I will be really appreciating it given the pandemic that we have. They're risking their health and their safety to go out of their way just to check on my daughter. That's really that's massive for me, no. It's something that I would really appreciate. And I guess if there's a word for the parents right now in terms of for the effort of the teachers, I guess parents, let's all be nice, diba? Let's really be be easy on the teachers, because ako po nakita ko because of what they are doing, it was a challenge, no. Wala naman pong hindi na challenge ngayon, but I guess it's very important that we have to appreciate little things, big or little things, that other people are doing for our kids, for our children, in such a way that we will just be able to survive this pandemic and challenges of the online schooling.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Because go ahead, Ma'am Kit.
Let me add, Ma'am Christine. We have two home visits, whether it is announced or unannounced. So pag yung announced na home visit, definitely it was requested. Bali, si parent na po yung nag-request to do the home visit for their children. So ibig
Pwede
sabihin,
rin po yun. Okay.
Pwede rin po yun kasi kumbaga hindi na po talaga nila kaya, hindi na nakikinig yung kanilang mga anak. So parang kailangan nila na somebody from the school to check on their children, parang ganon. So announce po yun. So pag announce po, meron silang prepared na something for us. Pero pag hindi po announce, yun po yung sabi po ni Ma'am Cherrie, is nasa shock sila and then parang nagugulat sila. So siguro sa 1 to 2 minutes, medyo galit yung magulang pag pumunta kami kasi hindi nga po nila alam kung ano po yung purpose namin. And then afterwards po, pag nabanggit na po namin yung ganito, baka po may problema yung bata, kaya lang hindi po nakaka-attend sa klase, baka po kailangan ng tulong from the school. So, and then yun nga po, nalalaman ng parent na yun nga po, parang nandun pa rin yung support ng school kahit po nasa pandemya tayo, kahit siguro po kasi dito sa school, pag absent, na-refer ka sa amin due to absenteeism, doon ka sa prefect. So, yun yung kinakatakutan nila, yung mapunta sila sa prefect, parang ganon. Since wala pong, kumbaga, medyo hindi nakikita ngayon ang prefect kasi so more on the guidance, more on the student development center. So kami po ang pumupunta sa bahay na. So dalawa po yun, it's either announced or unannounced. So depende po sa
Ayan.
nag-request. Okay.
I think it's so meaningful that we respond to the requests or the calls for help also of the parents. Now, if they're able to express that they need help, then the schools should certainly exert some effort for that. Okay, I'm sorry, we have to do a time check. It's 11:57, and while there are so many more questions in the chat box, in the YouTube and Facebook spaces there, I'm sorry we're running out of time, but so we would like to inform everybody that copies of the presentations will be available or downloadable on the resources tab of our CEAP website. And we'd like to thank once again Dr. Nelly, Ma'am Cherrie, and Ma'am Kit for your sharing this morning. Maybe we can request for one final message from you addressing all our attendees today. We can begin with Dr. Nelly.
Pre-pandemic, pandemic, and even post-pandemic, the message is still the same: communicate. But let's remember that communication it has two ways. We want to speak up, yes, but we also want to listen. So do that. Try doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nelly. Ma'am Cherrie.
Yeah. Of course, thank you everyone for inviting me and Doc Nelly. I also learned from everyone right now. If there's really one thing that I would like to say to all the parents and teachers, it's more of my gratitude for all the things that you are doing. And also, of course, I would like to just, encourage everyone that, wala pong madaling trabaho ngayong panahon na to. Lahat po tayo we are being challenged, we are being stretched out, but as we become a support system to everyone, we can be able to do this. It's just that we have to be nice, we have to be appreciative, and we always have to go back to our big whys, why we are doing this, why we have to to extend some efforts, not just to our kids, but to also other parents who might be having difficulty, or other children who are going through their own challenges, no? And I guess if we can be able to become a support system who are very nice, compassionate, being able there to understand and listen to them, it will definitely make all things lighter and, peaceful for everyone. Ayun po. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And of course, Ma'am Kit.
Okay, so for me po, siguro po yung no school can work well for children if the parents and the teachers do not act in partnership. So napaka-importante po talaga yung home and school partnership. And then to the parents out there, so do not hesitate po to call us to ask help, particularly po if para po sa ating mga anak at para sa ating mga estudyante. So we are here for you, dear parents.
Thank you, Ma'am Kit. So for this morning, we took a look at the two halves of the village, the role and the place of the school, which is also like a mini village in itself, with its own systems, and the home, which in fact shares the same objectives as well as the school. So we also learned how an entire community of multiple schools and homes can coordinate efforts and come together to meet the needs of the child. Because the child cannot do it alone, it is our shared responsibility. So I'd like to borrow some words from Doc Nelly's talk to come up with the key words for today: collaboration, partnership, and engagement, which aside from benefiting the child, the center of what we are doing this also benefits both the home and the school. So let us be mindfully present and be there for our children, our students, because we are on the same page. So thank you once again, Dr. Nelly, Ma'am Cherrie, and Ma'am Kit for a fruitful morning. So before we end, we would like to thank the PEAC, or the Private Education Assistance Committee, and Tech Factors, our web hosts, for being our wonderful partners for this webinar. Please join us again tomorrow at 9 a.m. for day 3 of our Child Protection Summit. On behalf of our President, Sister Marisa Viri, RVM, and the CEAP Board of Trustees, Mr. Jose Alan Arellano, the Executive Director, and the National Secretariat, This is Christine Lasaka Saludes saying thank you very much for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Sa ikaw at ako,
natuto sa prinsipyong
punyo at serbisyong totoo.
Kahalintulad ni Kristo,
isang puwarang Katoliko. Pagkakaisa
sa tulong at gawa,
masasalamat
alaala,
pagbabago,
ang misyon sa mundo,
magagawa sa biyaya ni Kristo.
ang kabataan,
May hamon at alay
sa ating bayan,
maging lingkod at
ng pagbabago,
sa misyon sa mundo.
Birhen Maria ang gabay at ang modelo.
Sa mundong may bagong anyo,
Isang bansang may bagong sigla,
dahil sa ikaw at ako,
natuto sa prinsipyong
punyo at serbisyong totoo.